Welcome. Sorry, I have a dog wandering around, knocking things over. Welcome everybody to Adrift in Aldhalor, our weekly actual play D&D show set in our homebrew world of Aradun. Our music is provided through, or we license it through musicbed.com. And we occasionally use Ambience in some of our shows from Syrinscape and TabletopAudio. And I have this guy here with me tonight.
Cooper!
Doggy.
The lore keeper of Paradise.
Lore keeper, the lore, yes. The canon is that Cooper actually knows the campaign and just whispers it to me. And then I pretend like I make it all up myself. All right. Go away. All right, buddy. You don't have to sit right next to me. I'm going to bring Shannon in now to talk about our partners and social medias.
Hello, everybody. I'm just finishing up my job here as community manager. The tweet has been tweeted.
Yeah, careful.
All right, there we go. Hello. How is everybody this evening? Welcome to Paradise. Yes, I will be talking about our partners and stuff, starting with Arcane Spectacles. Enhance your TTRPG and D&D games with Arcane Spectacles dice sets made in collaboration with Die Hard Dice. With a variety of set colors, you can elevate your gaming experience to your liking. Don't settle for ordinary dice when you can have top quality sets from Arcane Spectacles and Die Hard Dice. Roll the dice and upgrade your gaming gear today. Visit them at arcanespectacles.com. Next, we have Underground Oracle Publishing. They are a best-selling, Emmy-nominated TTRPG publisher, building new and exciting settings for the cipher system of every genre that you can imagine. Each setting includes everything you need to explore its unique world, including lore, species, descriptors, foci, creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and all of the rules that you need to play. For as little as $3 a month, you can join their Patreon and help shape each of the worlds that they create. Next, we have Eddie Yorke. He is our wonderful character artist. He's an illustrator based in the UK, which makes art for games and books. Who makes art for games and books. To visit his portfolio and get in contact with him, visit eyorke.com. Last but certainly not least, we have 1985 Games. They create affordable, accessible, high-quality accessories for D&D and other TTRPGs. We've got these amazing NPC cards that Sean uses and has used up almost all of them at this point, just because they're so amazing. And we learned last week that there are not only 5, but 6 different things that come on the back of those cards. One of which
5
changes. 5. Okay, there's 5 at a time, but there are 6 total categories.
Mm-hmm. What are they?
Which are, here we go. Skills, secrets, personalities, quirks, flaws, and goals.
Say them again.
Get them. No, I did all 6 of them.
Say it again.
I only heard 5.
I counted 6. Skills, personalities, flaws, quirks, goals, and secrets.
You got it.
Woo! I did it twice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Well, it's the first time it wasn't a trick question.
That's true. Yes, that is very true. The pressure was off. Anyway, if you would like to purchase these cards or any of their other amazing wares, use the code paradiceprod for 10% off your entire order. Oh, excuse me. Recaps and VODs. They're on our Discord. If you haven't joined us there yet, please do. We'd love to have you. Also join us in Paradise on Bluesky, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
I'm done.
That's.
Can you play now?
No, I have to recap.
I
first.
didn't start recording. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Sorry. I'm recording now.
It's backup
from the
audio
top.
anywhere.
No,
Yeah, Shannon,
Clayton.
Say it
It's
all
what?
again. Say it all
No,
again.
I'm not doing it again. Nope.
You at least give us the 6 options again.
No. Skills, goals, personality, flaws, secrets. What haven't I said yet?
I didn't even hear the first thing you said, though.
I cannot. That's it.
Sorry.
That's my maxes too.
I had to quickly fix our volume.
Yes, Clayton, it is on YouTube. I haven't done anything about it yet.
Anyway.
Wop, wop. That means this recap is going to be very important for everybody who's tuned in.
Because it was
a month
impossible
ago.
to watch this last episode. We had technical difficulties last week, so the episode had to be recorded offline and uploaded.
And it's there. I just haven't edited it yet.
I leave you guys 1 week.
That's right,
You know what?
Mike.
I'm working partly from home tomorrow, so I'll do it tomorrow. I promise. I pinky promise.
You heard
I'll
it
do
here,
this one
folks.
too.
Check in tomorrow, April 16th at
Mhm.
noon.
No. April
4 a.m.
17th. No.
Tomorrow is the 16th.
It is, but it won't be ready. It has to process, so it won't
Oh,
be ready
she's right.
until
She's right.
Wednesday.
It's been a while since I had to do any of that.
Hmm.
Thank you, Shannon. Anyway, let's jump into our recap so we can play some D&D.
Let's do it.
All right. So, last we left off, we only had Fionn, Sass, and Jacquette. So we were following them as they had split from the party. The rest of the party, Bruce and Septimus, stayed at the farm to work on building a new arm for Septimus. We'll get to that shortly. But last time, Fionn, Saskia, and Jacquette... Thank you. Last time, Fionn, Saskia, and Jacquette took the carriage and headed to the crossroads in search of Bjorn, the Dragonborn, a target, or the target of their bounty and former crew member of the Bone Rattler. Despite the comfort of a carriage, the next few days' travel were wet with rain, chilly with the autumn winds, and plagued with anxiety for the coming encounter. Maybe particularly for Saskia, who found herself struggling with nightmares about her time on the Bone Rattler as a pirate. She saw old friends in these dreams and often saw them put into the dangerous situations she experienced with them, like the attack on the Stormspire. She relived her part in that attack, the one that started this entire journey, and she found herself sinking into the abyss of the sea at the end of each nightmare, with a strange feeling of being torn apart and put back together in the dark, with this unmistakable presence of her patron in that moment. This led to conversations with Fionn and Jacquette about what they wanted to learn from Bjorn, but also conversations about their fates a little bit. Well, at least Fionn and Sass talked about that, and how they would have never met if it wasn't for their time in the Bone Rattler. They would have never met Jacquette, who would have safely arrived elsewhere and have never lived this entire life.
And be happier for it.
And they would have never met Bruce and Septimus. So they almost expressed a little bit of happiness is a little too strong of a word, but happiness that it happened. But they thought about what they wanted to ask Bjorn. Why did he leave Fionn and Sass behind to die during that attack? Were they set up? What's the real deal behind the Bone Rattler, essentially? Consequently, Sass asked Jacquette to teach her how to be persuasive and how to just, talk to people. Once the ritual haranguing from Jacquette finished, he helped her focus on what she wants out of the conversation, where she wants to be at the end of it, and focus on confidently controlling that conversation to get there. When they arrived at the crossroads, they found a small shack with evidence of Bjorn's presence. Empty wine jugs and crude drawings littered the dwelling. The art varied in medium and varied in quality, but all depicted similar scenes. Portraits of the crew members Bjorn supposedly betrayed, including Fionn and Sass, images of the storm spire, as well as images of a black, dark abyss. One of those images in particular had two green eyes staring out. In addition, they also found one that depicted sort of an endless shoreline, an endless beach that went on forever into the horizon. But as they sifted through this art, they eventually found a note with a heading and location to explore, seemingly a rendezvous location where Bjorn was to meet someone. Before they left, they spoke with the barkeep, who warned them about a vicious creature of legend in the hills called a bone eater or a bone stalker, and tried to make scary voices to frighten them of the wilds of the Raho foothills, which last week I kept calling the Roja foothills, but it's Raho in my notes. I looked back. Jacquet dismissed all of this as fairy tales, of course. So once they began traversing the Raho Hills through the forests, they found, unfortunately, several indicators of some kind of creature hunting in the territory, including a disemboweled sheep with no head. And later on, the tension rose even further as Jacquet found a humanoid skull in the forest. And beyond that, began to feel the sense of a presence following them. But, as the note said, listen for the wind chimes. The more they started to hear these wind chimes, the more that presence seemed to diminish. And eventually they found Bjorn's camp. But as they arrived within the territory of this, they were found by a precocious Kenku named Twigsnap, another former member of the Bone Rattler crew, and one that was presumed dead from the attack on the Storm Spire. They found Bjorn painting a landscape in seeming peace. Sass confronted him, but she found his memories lacking. The old dragon struggled to recollect the events. Eventually, they are able to learn that he tried to return for them, but instead found himself sinking into the sea as the rocks and the waves were too great. He admitted that Hastings wanted to leave them behind, that they were essentially the expendables of their crew. He also shared that many of the major factions had ties to the attack on the Storm Spire. The Aradunai, Mr. Greaves' Syndicate, and the Alumno Defiance. Despite this, the old man agreed to be taken into the Commodore's custody. And Twigsnap accused Sass and Fearn of hypocrisy, for they too were guilty of participating in the attack. The party left with Bjorn in their custody, back to the tavern to spend the night there. And for clarity for the audience, the Storm Spire is a particular structure that utilizes elemental magic to be a waypoint for airships. And Fearn and Sass were part of an attack on one that Jacquet happened to be a passenger on. That's how they met. Anyway, the three of you arrive to rest for the evening in the Badger and Coyote Public House, where you can rest off your travels. Which I believe, when we get back to that, that was you arrived back on the 24th evening of Anarum, and a Nenua near. But we're going to jump back a couple days to Septimus's farmhouse. So, Bruce and Septimus, early this morning, the rest of your crew left with the carriage to go seek out Bjorn and their bounty. The two of you are left now on the farm. You have the workshop, Septimus, there, which has been probably the least turned over of everything in your home from the representatives from the Solenalian Rail Company. But there's people outside. Cooper is very excited. But you have the farm to yourselves. Your friends were likely not to return for quite a while, actually. You have really 6 days, for the most part, to yourselves. Nearly a week. What would you like to do?
Hey, we better get started on this arm. You're muted.
You're muted.
I would cough, get it the bubble out of your throat, you know.
Indeed, we have some work to do. I'll be preparing my workshop. I have a certain way I want to arrange things to perform the surgery. Similar fashion to how I had Sal assist me with my other appendage on my back. Hopefully this should be easier. now that I have another set of hands.
All right, just show me your blueprints from last times.
Well, actually, that's true. Septimus will take him into the workshop. Pull out blueprints, drawings, sketches of kind of what he came up with, and had showed Sal the first time around with performing this procedure on his back. And while he's showing it to him, he's instructing Sal of like things to move, things to get ready, cleaning up a space, and a like chair like area like for him to rest on. If I'm correct, we had previously said that the parts of the arm has been assembled essentially.
Yes.
It just needs to be.
Yeah, you have the actual arm assembled.
If there's I'll lay that on the table. If there's any last minute things that I need to do to it, I'll begin working on that.
So you do know that the sort of probably the most difficult part of this procedure is the actual final attachment. The arm, you know how to build an arm now after building the other one, and this one is like an advancement beyond that one. Because your arm on your back is not humanoid like. It's obviously much more industrial like. It has the interchangeable head. This, like, you've modeled it to, I imagine, to look as pretty close to a human arm in terms of scale. Or I guess actually I'll ask you, is there any particulars about this arm visually that we should note?
That's a good question. I would say he would kind of model it in a similar way to like what looks like Sal's arm a little bit. In a similar way. However, that is like with the hard armor plating, he's not going to go into the intricate detail of etching in all the runes because he doesn't fully understand like what those mean.
Of course.
But maybe perhaps some etchings like in his own. No. I'd say no etchings. But
and keep it non-decorative for now.
Yeah,
maybe later.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be later.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I imagine you have all of your component parts that are made up of other materials, such as silver and not that the sturdy magical material that you have, and you are able to make the sort of outer plates. It's not. I would say it's not like a it's not like a Winter Soldier arm where it's basically just a exact human arm but metal. It's much more robotic. It has like a clear joints. There's not like excess musculature that is created. It's more smooth, like Sal's arm, where it's
sleek. It's not buff or anything like that. It's just utilitarian. And like it does have like some like I guess exposed like not wires, but I think the right word. Not coils either. Like tubes. Like pneumatics or hydraulics to move some of this stuff.
Absolutely. And that like most of these sort of magical mechanical parts, they utilize exactly like you said, tubes and whatnot. And so some forms of wires, you could say, mostly these trailed silver lines are what make up what you would argue is sort of the circuitry or wires of it, using the magic of conductiveness of silver to help with that.
And I know I didn't mention this too much before. I hope it's not too much of a thing, but I had thought of there being like two pieces essentially that's going to go into this, like the whole arm, like he had constructed, but at the place where like it would be into the shoulder, it would just be a socket. But I would have thought that Septimus created like a separate, like I'll call it like an anchor piece, which is like the real piece that he's going to affix to his body. So it's essentially like a like kind of like a cylinder that like, he'll have to like. That will be the main part, that he's not just like taking an arm and just like jabbing it into himself. He's taking this like let's like a module or something. That's like this big or whatever, that will be the connecting to the tissue of his body. And then when it's complete, you think that like you just see an open socket and that could just affix and then be able to put an arm in. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, you've been studying the modular devices of the Bunkos apparatus union that our friend Bruce is carrying around with him, and thought about the modularity of it. Absolutely, that piece, that anchor piece, is going to be obviously like that's the real surgery. Once you're done
Yes.
with that, you just put the arm in, and hopefully the modular magic will bind it.
Correct.
You remember though from the arm on your back that it was about 70% technology and then about 30% blind faith that you had
Oh, yeah, no,
applied to it.
there's gonna be a lot of prayers involved in this
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be involved with some of the setup of this procedure as well. Obviously, there's some intelligence in it as well, but
Mhm.
he's like hanging up like dried sage and stuff, and like making sure that incense is just right, and like making sure the room.
And
Yeah.
now I don't know what to do here. Now we pray.
And this is the point, though, for you, Bruce, as silly as it is, as you see him start to set up like herbs, oils, all manner of just like what you would presume a cleric would bring around, is that like you start to think about the arm on his back, and you start to think about the incident that occurred in the library. You start to think about the shutdown when Lacuna was near it. You start to think about like how less straightforward that arm actually is in your mind now. And you're like, I don't actually know how it works when I think about it. And I don't think Septimus does either, for the part that makes it like work with his body. And then you think about when you first kind of just like saw it on his back, like and like where it touched the skin, and it was so crude looking at that time that you're starting to think like, maybe you need to bring a little professionalism to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
As Septimus
Totally.
is setting things up.
So we were talking off stream.
Mhm.
Jacquette, would you have left Hastings' gun?
Yeah, so I imagine there had been a conversation where like Jacquette was like, "Oh, by the way, I still have this gun from Hastings. I can't use it actually. It's very challenging to get the aim." And then it cuts to him drunkenly up on his balcony at night, and you just hear like cats yowling in the alley. He's like, "Shut up." Oh, this thing is harder to use. And then hides it as you hear people be like, "What was that noise? What's going on out there?" He's like, "You two seem like you could make better use of it. I don't know, Septimus, maybe put it in that new arm you're making of yours. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, know what I mean? Know what I mean?"
Gives me some ideas.
Okay, but take it. And here's a box of ammo. I spent the silver. You should at least benefit from it.
Oh my goodness. What the hell are you all planning? I think I know. Gun arm. Okay, so yes, you have the
Sean's like, I wasn't prepared for
the
this.
BAU pistol from Hastings, the fight with Hastings. What would you like to do with it?
Do you want to put this on your back? Do you want to put this on your other arm?
I have been thinking about that. I do have, similar to having just a module. You've seen the different attachments that I have on that arm there. If I have the proper tools, which I know I do have here, I was wondering if I can make this be an attachment that I can throw into there, similar to the other utility tools that I have. And so, Sean, what I'd like to do, like similar to how I have the replacing parts for my back arm, if I can have something to put the gun, create the gun as a ability to...
in your new arm?
No, in my back arm.
In your back arm.
Like on my back arm, I have like if I like it has like a claw feature, and I could take that part off and put a saw blade, and I could take that off and take a blowtorch. If I can have a gun replacement,
a pistol replacement. Maybe.
Just sit on it.
I mean, you guys have 6 days to work on this
Yeah.
stuff, so I will definitely say. I know.
Well, I will say that this will be the priority, getting the arm on.
Yeah.
So depending on how well that goes and how much rest I need,
Mhm.
we can move forward as far as how much work can get done.
Okay.
On making that attachment if you need some more time to think.
Yes, because I mean, Bruce has been studying it. It's not like Bruce is just opening it up for the first time and being like, "Look at this thing." He's been studying how the modularity works. The thing that you would really need to do is to replicate the modularity to your shoulder arm, to where there's just they're communicating with each other essentially, and that's again is going to be a 70 to 80% tech thing, 20 to 30% faith thing, since we are dealing with spiritual machinery at this point, with pure machinery. So there might be chances of failure in this situation, just like there is chances of failure with your arm installment. It's a matter of if you can get the items to be simpatico. Let's start with the arm.
Yes.
So you are setting things up. You have your ritualistic items all around. You have incense going. You have specific herbs gathered around specific things. It's almost as if there's this sense of like sacrificing natural things to create synthetic things, or to be part of the synthetic creation, and that you're burning organic matter to create synthetic materials in this ritual.
As you say that, Septimus just drags a goat in and just takes out a sheathes dagger.
My God.
No goat sacrifices yet. Septimus is not that superstitious yet. So the room is set. You feel you might attribute spirituality to it, but the room feels thick and heavy with your incense and oils and burning herbs. Bruce, you might be looking at this and be like, "This is not clean," but
Yeah. Gotta sanitize before you. Never mind.
certainly not how they do
I'm about to give
surgery in
I'm about to
Halcyon.
give the incantation.
Okay.
Septimus leans over
I
to
give him a little guidance. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
the arm
Got
and the anchor module part. He raises his hands up. He's like, "Oh, great machina, I give you these new material, and I ask you to bestow a fraction of your power onto me, so that I might continue to bless this world with your knowledge, so that all might share and benefit from your greatness."
You mutter these incantations over the arm. Looking at it, do you do any? Do you want to use any spells or channel anything from your cleric background into this, or is this simply the beginning of this, where you're just preparing your?
This is just the beginning of it.
Okay.
I'm just like just having it just be a straight prayer, no kind of like no magic.
Okay.
Into it.
Then give me a little religion check.
Guidance.
Take a guess.
Natural 1.
Mm-hmm.
Can I give him an advantage with my enhance ability?
Is no, he already rolled.
Damn it.
But I'm not gonna say like you don't. This is not like you fumble over anything. I'm gonna say that how this natural 1 manifests is you feel intense confidence in your faith.
I sure do.
You feel great. Intense confidence in your faith.
That definitely works. I was just spitting right there.
Yeah, it's like it's everything is perfect. The room's great. You're entering into this ritual as best as you possibly can be. There's no way this isn't going to work. That's how your natural one is manifesting.
Yep. Okay.
What do you do next?
Septimus is going to walk over to a seat, a chair, where he'll have to sit for this process. And he's going to take out, or I'm sure he has something left over from like last time. Or if not, he made it with his alchemist abilities. Not a sedative, but something to numb the pain. And I guess you can have me roll to see if I succeed on that too.
Yeah, give me a alchemist kit check with intelligence. It's the modifier. You're proficient in all tools, right? As an artificer.
I am. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and add your intelligence modifier and your proficiency
This is
bonus.
24.
24. Okay. Yeah, you remember. You remember how to make this, and you have some of the ingredients at your place to your homestead. You actually luck out and you have just enough ingredients at your homestead to make this last anesthetic for your arm.
Before you continue, do you want a lollipop?
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It tastes like raccoon piss anyway.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Tastes like limoncello.
You shut your mouth, limoncello.
So you got advantage on intelligence saving or ability checks now.
Nice.
Intelligence ability checks. Okay.
I love this. This is like the least sanitary surgery room ever. The doctor is performing it on himself. He's eating a lollipop.
Is also eating a lollipop.
And there's smoke thick in the air. It's like the 50s. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue.
Open to heart.
Before he actually, let me just backtrack quickly. I feel like this is important. Before he takes the pain reducer, he's going to explain to Bruce the process of which he wants to have this done. He's like, I'm going to be sitting in the chair here, to partially restrain myself because despite taking a suppressant, there will be, I'm surely, some pain. But I'll be guiding conscious the entire time. Turns to Sal. It's like, Sal, you're going to be the one, like last time, to make the surgical incisions. You know, I've shown you the vital organs, arteries, veins of the human body. I'm going to need to cut essentially down the middle here, where it's just a stub. Pull back some of the skin. And actually remove some of the skin as well to prep it for the piece there. Bruce, I'm going to need you to attach these parts to the nerve that's here.
All right.
And then affix this nub into my shoulder socket.
Okay. Is that's that thing right there, that little nub?
Yes.
Okay.
Sal is currently sharpening a knife.
Bruce is like sweating a little bit.
Not a scalpel. Not a scalpel. This is a kitchen knife.
Yeah. And I guess you've done this before. All right. Okay.
Septimus,
Tell me when you're ready.
Sal would put his hand out to be like, stop to you all, and then go over. He would look at you both kind of in the eyes and point at your arm, your shoulder, and he would sort of like mime like putting the arm on, and he would look at you, Septimus, and just go. And you would know that he is indicating that you would cast magic into the attachment the last time you did this. That you had, it was when you discovered essentially like sort of a little bit of this power.
on top of it too, since make it a little easier, Septimus will cast Speak with Machines, so he can talk with Sal actually, and relay whatever he's trying to convey also.
Yeah, and that same sort of like ringing comes into your ears until like almost as if you're accessing sound waves that you otherwise couldn't hear. Suddenly you would hear a voice coming out from the machine, from the heart of Sal, really. The final step is to bless the point of flesh and metal. Don't forget, Septimus, that is the most important part.
Of course, Sal. Thank you for reminding me. Just a little nervous, but
Bruce looks worried.
feel well. He'll be all right. As I explained to Bruce, it's like, if something does go wrong, and if one of my the major arteries are severed, you'll see it'll be bright red blood that spews. I may or may not feel it, but let me know. Don't not worry. I have healing abilities. I'll have to try to channel it and try to mend the wound.
Throw a metal plate on there too if you need.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that.
All right. All right.
Bruce's metal plate stims.
let me know when you're ready.
We must begin soon, or the anesthetic will run out before it's done.
Yes. All right, strap me in. It's like there's a harness just over the torso. I'll still have a free hand, so I can assist and do cast a mending or a healing spell.
Yeah, you see Bruce, Sal, without hesitating, is strapping Septimus into this chair, which you can now clearly see is Septimus's weird surgery on myself chair. You can start to see on the strap there is some old blood stains from the original surgery on his back that just never quite came out when they were washing it and sanitizing it. As Sal tightens the strap that goes around the chest just to keep him still and not jostling around too much. You also see he goes up to Septimus and offers to him a strip of leather to bite down on.
I was literally about to say that. I was going to say a wooden spoon, but
Oh yeah, it could be whatever your apparatus would have been last time. He offers you that, a wooden spoon.
He gives me a wooden spoon, and I just chomp down. Actually, before I chomp down on it, I see how worried Bruce is looking. It's like, trust in me, trust in Sal, and trust in.
All right.
You'll do great. I've seen your work. We can make this work. As he'll cast heroism on Bruce. So he's immune to being frightened.
Much needed in this moment. But yeah, Bruce, you kind of are almost captured in Septimus's gaze in this moment. Almost like he think being a little kid and your coach is talking to you and you're really excited that they're talking to you and they're like, you got this. And you can really only see Septimus, you're almost you're tunnel visioning on it as you feel this overwhelming sense of confidence come over you where, yes, it is scary. The fear, so to speak, does not leave you, but you have the confidence to fight it.
Yeah, if you want me to keep you still too, I can cast Hold Person on you as well if you think it's going to be a problem. But I'm not going to do that because I don't know if you could speak during it. Anyway, let me know when you're ready.
Sal, shing.
Yeah. As I'll chomp down on his spoon, look to Sal and just give him a nod.
In a very impressive twist of his hand, he twists the knife up so that he's holding the knife now in a very weird way. He's not holding it like he's carving a steak. He's almost holding it like a pencil in the way that he's holding it so that his metal hand is catching the bottom of it and it's sort of clawed around it to give him maximum ability with this not surgical tool as a surgical tool. As he would then position himself in front of Septimus, where the arm is. He would look to you, Bruce, and just sort of tap on the toolkit that is on the table with the arm for you when you need to get in there and start attaching things together. As he then, almost in like a rapid, almost tattoo gun, like it looks so fast the way he's cutting with this knife, and it's just these little cuts, almost like someone like literally like dealing with fabrics with a very sharp knife, but it's skin and flesh. Blood immediately starts to come out, of course, and you see Sal in his other hand has a rag that he keeps sort of mopping it up so that he can work. I'm just gonna do a quick check for Sal here. Okay. You feel a numb pain, Septimus, where it's like it hasn't caught you anywhere where it's going to send a shockwave through you, but you know that you're experiencing surgery even though you can't fully feel it. As Sal rolled a 10 on that, but that's what his DC was to get this business done. And he's going and going and going, and like you can see, like Sal is, I mean, this is still messy, Bruce. This is still not clean. Like Sal's, like there's blood sleek on Sal's hands now, as the rag in his hand is getting soaked with it. And Sal is focused though, and then suddenly stops. Quickly applies the rag with pressure, and looks to you, Bruce, as he puts the knife down on the table and grabs the arm and just holds it kind of like perfectly still. Like right now, Sal is like one hand is on the bloody surgery. The other hand is just holding perfectly still the arm, just inches away from it. And he's ready to take the rag away as soon as you are ready to start working on it.
All right, Bruce readies his tools and is, inspired by Septimus, is just goes right in.
Okay, what skill would you like to use here?
I feel like this is a tools check or a tinkerer's check.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me.
So I'm gonna roll that.
Okay. For both of you, Septimus and Bruce, because this is a pretty pivotal character moment, and within your class lore, you both have inspiration for the next rolls to come. So go ahead and mark that you have inspiration. Bruce, let's see it. Tinker's tools. Surgery tools. Improvised surgery tools.
Ooh, well, that's a 4. But we can bump that up.
Okay.
I'm feeling even more inspired, so I'm going to give myself +5 to that roll, which bringing it up to a 19.
Oh, okay. All right. So a 19 will succeed, as you are attaching the synthetic parts of Septimus's design to his organic matter. It is the heroism is kicking in because these are definitely moments that Bruce, you would have like had like a panic attack at, as you just see like little spurts of blood, and you just see like it's really hard to deal with like matter. Like you're used to precise synthetic metals crafting. To find the right parts amongst organic material is a challenge you've not had to deal with. So, but the heroism kicks in, the inspiration from Septimus. This is inventive, innovative, new, exciting. You're able to, maybe you miss one here or there, but Septimus guides you. He looks at you, goes, no, that one. And all the pieces are connecting with the anchor point.
I like to imagine that Bruce has his lollipop and he's just like moving around with his like really like googly eyes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, too. I mean, I don't know exactly if it'll work that way. Like, could your tremor sense if like you just touch my body, like you could see like the vital organs and vital veins and stuff, which like definitely helps.
Yeah, it's almost like Bruce, you are uniquely gifted with your goggles to perform this surgery over someone else. But the wires are all connected with the anchor and Septimus right now. The blood is flowing. Septimus, you must now seal them together, your flesh and the anchor.
Doing as Sal reminded me.
Mhm.
He'll put one hand, not on it, but over it, and start chanting and blessing the piece, as he did before. He'll start off with the same words that he began with, and says, and just keeps going, "Help me ascend. Help me ascend. O Machina, give me your strength."
So I'll ask for a one, I'll ask, do you want to imbue this with any sort of magic?
Yes. Just trying to think of what.
You could do a sacred flame like you did when you healed Sal. You could do, if there's something else
Yeah,
in
I
your
was
spell
thinking-
list that you're thinking of.
Yeah, I was thinking the Sacred Flame.
Okay.
We'll do that.
So since you're pumping a sacred flame into it, I'll give you advantage on your check here, which can be either Arcana or Religion.
Religion. You said advantage?
I did say advantage, yes.
That's 16.
You mutter your incantations. You say your prayer towards whatever you pray to. The sacred flame pushes into the wound, as well as the metal parts and the synthetic fibers and tubes. You feel intense pain, Septimus. Almost as if the sacred flame burned away all the anesthetics that were keeping you numb. It attaches, but it's crude. It's not perfect. It's not what you imagined. The skin doesn't. There's not a smooth transition between metal to skin. It's scarred, as it is less healed and blessed to your arm and more cauterized to your arm. But the socket is attached. So, not a perfect surgery, but as far as you can tell right now, you're not bleeding out. You feel pain, of course, but you feel the sensation of that attachment. You almost feel a phantom limb while it's on there.
Mm.
So what I'll say mechanically happened there is you did not meet the threshold for a perfect surgery, where it was flawless. So it is, until remedied in the future potentially, it is an uncomfortable attachment. It does not feel 100% fluid to use this arm. It still feels somewhat. There's no mechanical like backfiring to this. You're not gonna like have penalties to something, but you'll always sort of feel a slight discomfort in the shoulder, in the same way you have with your shoulder mounted arm as well. In that you have not perfected the process yet, but this is definitely an improvement from the shoulder mount. So,
You mean the back mount?
yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing left to
Strong.
do is to test the arm.
It's nothing. Nothing at all. Hand me the arm. Let's attach it, see how it works.
There you go.
He's holding it, and probably has his other back arm there, like helping because it's probably a little heavy.
Mhm.
As he'll try to.
Septimus, I would like you to pick high or low.
Yeah, for me, but you're rolling.
I'm rolling it though.
High.
You hold the arm up, and the anchor point with the socket, you do feel almost a magnetic pull between the arm and the socket. And as it gets closer, it does sort of connect with the magical metals that you've crafted it out of. And you feel tingling in your shoulder, almost like spikes of needles in your flesh, mixed with that fuzzy asleep feeling coming over your entire shoulder as it's attempting to connect the nerves into the arm magically.
Yep.
The silver is beginning to heat up, and you feel heat now in your shoulder as the arm stays limp, and you are focusing all your energy into moving just the finger of the arm. And
Oh,
it twitches the finger.
hey, it's working! It's working! Woo!
As Bruce cheers, Septimus, you understand that this is going to take a while for you to gain full control over the arm. It's going to be a little bit every day. It's going to take you a week before it works as a normal arm would for you. If you had gotten the high or low, it would have worked immediately.
Yep.
But you will have a fully viable mechanical arm by the end of the week.
Does it hurt at all? How does it feel?
It's like it doesn't hurt. It's like if your arm ever felt asleep before.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's the artificial nerve endings are slowly coming in contact with mine, and the sensation's just that tingling. I don't have full control yet, but this may take some time.
All right.
I'm not bleeding out all over the place, though. It's a good start.
Do you need some ice for the swelling or something like that? Do you have an ice box? Maybe not.
He doesn't have an ice box.
No, I don't have no, but
Your thought on my part.
Septimus,
something cold to avoid some of the inflammation.
It does feel like there is sort of just like a radiating pain from your shoulder mingled with the tingling sensation. And it's just for that same like week-long time, probably even longer than that, even once the arm is operational, it's just going to be painful and swelling and bruised and sensitive. Probably truthfully for the next at least 2 weeks. You'll feel just a general, this is me giving you your exit checkup at the hospital. I'm like, you're going to experience some swelling. It's going to be a little painful. Just take some ibuprofen.
Thanks, Maki.
But you see though, as like the two of you are talking and just, Bruce just, whooped in excitement. Sal is just sort of like taken the arm in his hands as you have like just like barely moved the finger, and almost like in a reverent way is like holding it and just sort of like looking at it before just sort of slowly letting it slip out of his hands. And he just sort of looks up to you, Septimus, as he's like kneeling next to you as you sit. and obviously no facial features, but you can sense there's a sense of joy emanating from Sal that you can feel. Perhaps it's part of the speak with machines spell that's fading now, but there is excitement within Sal as well.
I rest my working hand on his shoulder. He's like, "You did well, friend. Thank you. This is big. This is great, but
that arm is pretty heavy. Do you want to? Here, Bruce is gonna just cast. Can I cast levitate on just the arm?
You can. I mean, for all intents and purposes, right now the arm is a separate object on Septimus until it fully integrates with his body. So long as his body doesn't reject it by the end of the week. But it might be a good idea to get him to fasten him a sling for it, because it is going to make the healing process worse if it's just this heavy metal arm hanging off of the cauterized wound on his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, so Bruce will probably fashion something up with the leather scraps laying around. And yeah, I'll do just that.
Okay.
thank you. It does sting
Oh, it does?
a little bit.
Let me can I just take my tools,
Yeah.
just flip it like a little mini hammer, like a little ballpoint hammer, and just like kind of ding it, send vibrations and cast lesser restoration.
Yeah. Any particular effect that is looking to do?
I'm just looking to kind of take
Or
some
for
pain
flavor.
away with it. For flavor,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that like some vibrations will help seat things a lot better than how they currently are.
I love it.
And yeah.
Yeah, I'll say absolutely. And the other thing too is I'll say that because lesser restoration does alleviate disease and poisons, I'll say that you're also keeping it from getting infected.
All right, perfect. Yeah.
Nice.
It
You don't
is
want that.
the wound that was created by Sal's surgery has been sealed and disinfected essentially, so there will not be any we're not going to wake up tomorrow and it's all puffy and red and Septimus is delusional and has a fever and that's the end of his character. Is just dies to infection.
Died by infection.
But no, yes, the lesser restoration absolutely helps with the pain, with the positioning, and with disinfecting it.
Great, wonderful. Let me go get you some of that jam. I'll be right back.
You go to the pantries and there is empty jam bottles, but no jam.
While he's gone, has a moment with Sal. He's like, I still feel somewhat disappointed. Thought at first everything was right, but this is not how it. Well, I guess you would tell me. How did it take a while for my back arm to
Yes,
start working?
it was certainly it took a while. Like your back arm was not something that worked on day one. Like you would have painstakingly had created that to the point when the gnarliness of the shoulder is disappointing, but the fact you moved the finger minutes after the surgery is much better than the back mounted arm was. That you had to work a week just to get it to respond to you properly and not freak out and start flailing around.
Okay.
Because also you had the nice precise claws of Bruce to get the nerves right. You had Sal's bear paws when you were doing it then. Your nerves might be all fucked up on your back.
Probably. Then I'll just say this: I felt I had learned so much, and everything should have been right. I just don't know what I was expecting then. But I don't know. I'm so hard on myself. This is incredible. We'll just see how soon I can use it.
Sal just sort of sits forward in that mechanical way he does, and as he's learned his new mannerism, taps you on the good shoulder. And then, like, oddly enough, Septimus, he stands up and leaves. The empathy and sympathy that you have magically been able to feel with Sal through your, let's not forget, blessing from Lacuna, has opened up something strange for you, perhaps. You've always viewed Sal with veneration in the sense of his spirit and the sense of ascendancy that comes with becoming spiritual machine. But there was always a part of you that held almond human bias. This is a machine. This is a machine. This is a tool. Even to the point of, just asking him to do things. It's in this moment when he stands and leaves and walks away with his entirely individual internal motivations that you now know exist because of your speak with machines ability. That even though you've always believed Sal to be an individual, perhaps this is the moment when you truly know he is.
There's no jam left.
He'll kind of just fall back in that seat that he was in and just kind of ponder that for a second and not answer Bruce as he's just thinking.
Bruce, all you can find in the pantry are hard crackers. So that's the only thing the raccoons didn't like.
Find weevils
Whereas
and
I had growing up is unsalted saltines.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can scrounge up anything in terms of like maybe some booze. And sometimes this is a drink, but like anything I could kind of scrounge through Bruce's bag of like what could be used to celebrate this.
Well, the last time you guys were here, we did know that there was booze there, right? That Septimus never touched because it was.
It's the one thing Septimus doesn't judge. So unless they were taken by the developers or anybody else that pondered upon the land, it'd still be quite a bit of just leftover booze.
Yeah, no, the folks who turned your place over never really got to the cellar where the booze is. They were mainly just looking around. You actually caught them at a good time. If you guys had lagged behind and like stayed an extra day somewhere or something like that, you could have missed them and they would have probably taken more things. But yeah, no, the booze is still in the cellar.
Yeah, Bruce comes back with maybe some dried meats and these crackers and a bottle of booze. What can I feed you? Says with a big smile.
I'm not sure if you found anything more than those crackers. But
no, afraid not. We got to restock those. All right. What else do you need? Do you need like a nice bed to lay down? This doesn't look very comfortable. Are you still strapped in? Okay.
No. Sal would have unstrapped him. Sal walked away and left you tied up.
I need to pee.
You can do that with one hand, right? Yeah.
No. Enjoy as much. Help yourself as much as you want to whatever's left in the cellar. This is
all right.
This is a big help. So thank you, Bruce.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you want help later on, make that gun or pistol into a attachment on your arm, let me know.
Well, I'm still kind of feeling it from having my arm cut open and a bit of that muscle relaxant inhibitor. But if you want to take a crack in the second from the top drawer and over there, some of the schematics I had for the attachments I had on my back. I'm thinking if we can fashion some way to put the gun on the attachment part in a similar fashion as my other pieces, it could simply be swapped out like the rest of my tools.
You're muted, Alex.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Okay. So, Septimus, as you begin to get tired from this, and maybe go to rest, Bruce, you can start looking at his schematics. What I'll say is, there anything particular the two of you want to be doing over the next 2 days? To catch us up time-wise to your friends. What would you be doing over the next 2 days?
Bruce would probably take a crack at looking at. Well, first he would probably go down into Septimus's basement and seeing if there's a good place to set up a possible teleporter.
If Septimus's basement, and correct me if I'm wrong, Septimus, I imagine it's just you didn't really. I don't imagine you will go down there that often. It's probably just whatever your parents left there.
Yeah. Might actually say, yeah, it would be probably very cluttered.
Yeah, because I also imagine you probably
say,
don't go down there.
I don't go down there. I guess the reason I was going to say is very cluttered is after the storm and everybody vanished. Everything that maybe reminded him of his old life that made him sad, he just buried down there.
Yeah. So Bruce, when you go down there to check it out, and at first you're really just going on to grab some booze, and then you kind of the second time you go down there to work, you start to look around, and you see some of it's just junk, that's been put down here for storage. Maybe it's been there for years. It's caked in dust throughout this area. But you see several other things that just are remnants of people that lived here. You see just clothes. There's just every item of clothing that a family of as big as Septimus is. There's just a lot of there's just a lot of clothes down there. And then you start to see little things that are clearly individual belongings. You find a ragged teddy bear. You find an esoteric board game that you don't really know how to play that looks like it was handmade out of cheap material. You find a wooden sword. You find just the belongings of a family. All the things that the upstairs lack. Everything that makes up how neutral Septimus's dwelling is all down here. It's all been locked away.
I imagine it's caked in dust.
Oh yeah, there's cobwebs all over the place, dust. It's dark, damp. You find even some things have been rotted over with mold. Old jewelry. Nothing super valuable, which is a necklace that has a quartz gem on it.
Well, I'm gonna probably take that.
You find simple things all over the place. You're just opening drawers at one point, I imagine. Find documents, old sheets of paper and scroll that have musings about the elements written on it, or prayers to the elements. And I'd say the last thing you kind of open that maybe makes you feel a little however you would feel if this was the last thing you opened. So you open a drawer, and mingled within just old junk and tools, paper, string, yarn. is loose to wedding bands.
Bruce doesn't really want to like. I don't actually take the amulet. By the way, Bruce will like look at them though, and appreciate all the goods that Septimus family's left behind, and kind of wants to just like leave that memory as it is, and but make note of where everything is, including the teddy bear and the wooden sword. Are there any like large paintings down there, or anything sort of like? All right. So what Bruce is gonna do is, if it's is it like just one big area, or is it like other offshoot rooms in the cellar?
No, I imagine that with this humble homestead, it would just be a large area.
Okay. So, what Bruce might do, is he might make like he cut a hole in the wall and excavate some area with mold earth.
Yeah.
And try to make a separate secret area within the cellar to hide said teleporter if he were to place it.
You can certainly do that over time with mold earth.
Yes.
You can sculpt out a room. I'll say it'll take you a while, but it's definitely doable. And thankfully, you are you know how to build. You got your tremor sense. You got your training, so you know how to make a structurally sound room down there. Septimus' family is not wealthy. They don't really own paintings, unless it's like literally like maybe there's a tapestry that's an inheritance you find that's not really a painting, but more so something that his mother may have hung up in the living space to kind of represent home. In fact, you actually might even look at it and say like, this is not Aldhalian in production and texture and artistry. It's Halcyon. All the heirlooms here have the cultural signifiers of the lower class of Halcyon.
Okay.
People who the same kind of people who joined the Alumno Defiance at one point.
All right. Yeah, and then from there, I think Bruce would probably. Bruce is also, if this is the same day, Bruce has been like slowly having a couple of drinks, so he's probably not ready to actually perform.
Yeah, I would say you would be doing mostly
over.
planning this day, and then you'd start doing the real excavations on the day after.
Yeah. But if there's like some minor stuff, I'd have time in between to help Septimus out with his gun arm. I would do that as well.
Septimus, what would you be doing over these 2 days?
Over the first 2 days, I'd say he'd just make sure that there, like you said, like no infections or any like major underlying problems with the arm, aside from the one you said where it's not like fully right. But like if he feels like maybe like the socket popped out, like it's loose, it's like, oh shit, we gotta like really get back on this. And just also just like taking track. And I guess actually his main focus would be more of like trying to move his arm, like spending time and effort to be like, okay, I move this finger right now, like somebody who's like going through physical therapy.
100%.
Like come on, like just kind of like taking that in strides.
Yeah, and I would say like especially on these first few days, like you would really kind of need to rest and work on this stuff. Obviously you can walk around, do other things, but for the most part, you're monitoring your surgery wounds, which are healing quite nicely thanks to sort of the Bruce's lesser restoration. Yes, you can slowly work through it. It's maybe by the end of that second day of these two that you're you're not really able to strongly lift the arm, but you're able to kind of make a fist and kind of clench it and move the fingers enough to start really feeling them. You wouldn't be able to do anything precise with it, but you are starting to really feel the presence of the arm. And I would say over these 2 days, most of what you're doing is taking care of your arm, digging out our secret room, Bruce. And you may even like be doing a little bit of organizing down there because it's certainly like it's cluttered, but things can be moved to the side a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Bruce would probably take some time, like just organizing Septimus's stuff, just in case he does want to revisit it instead of being just a cluttered mess, so that he can appreciate it when he's ready.
Yeah. All the while, both of you would notice that Sal is just cleaning up. With like no one's telling him to do anything. He's just going and like you almost wake up, Septimus, and like maybe you're feeling like a lot of pain. You go to make like some tea, and you just see Sal is just like sweeping the entire house and just starting to like slowly move things around, completely free of any commands. And some of it's wrong. Like instinctually, Sal is not doing all of it correctly. Like he is like put something where it does not belong, or he is stacked a few things together to almost be a simulacrum of what should have been there before. It's interesting. You might even like spend some of these days just watching Sal behave on his own.
I guess at a certain point, Septimus would cast Speak Machines again and just reach out to him. It's like, Sal, come rest here for a while. What is it you're trying to do?
Is there something you need, Septimus?
Just rest. Hopefully to gain full control of this arm. But just mainly rest until our friends rejoin us.
I am learning. I am exploring.
Kind of puzzled by that and hearing that, but actually okay with the answer because just looking to learn more. Septimus just kind of just nod and just goes, then go about it of your own volition for now. I won't stop you.
And you see during this whole conversation, like you're like absentmindedly doing like your exercises with your hands, where maybe you're like clenching the fist or moving some fingers, and the entire time you've been talking, Sal has been mimicking that with his own hand. Himself almost seemingly absentmindedly. If you need anything, just call my name. I will hear it. As he stands up, turns robotically, and walks out to the back scrapyard, through the big hole in the building.
Yep.
At some point, Bruce will, like some evening, one of the evenings, Bruce will probably, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait for the rest of the party to have this conversation.
Well, I'm going to jump to them now. We reached the evening of the 23rd, where Bruce and Septimus, perhaps you settle down for a dinner of crackers and hard meats, while Sal is outside watching the sunset. Elsewhere, a couple days from here, our friends arrive and get their rooms for the evening at the Badger Coyote Public House with their bounty. I'm sure that the three of you are quite tired and would like to rest before heading out the next day. So I imagine you go right to bed. So, morning of the 24th. You rise and can get yourselves set up to head out for the day. The carriage is getting set up. You can restock on feed or anything you need like that.
I'll
as
drive.
as Sass gets into the driver's seat and
Give Map some scritches.
give Maps some scritches. And Jacquet and Fearn can bring their prisoner out, although he's given himself willingly. You didn't before, but do you want to tie him up at all, or is you're good with him being unbound? He's not expressed any reason for you to think he's like going to.
I think when I first started traveling with him, I probably would have checked him for weapons just to be extra safe.
Not
But,
a single weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, then I don't see any reason, I'll just, stay with him the whole time, never, more than 5 feet away, sitting in the cart.
And he's very quiet the whole time. Like, often you can see looks as though he's pensive, contemplating things within his own head. Even like when you got back and maybe you bought him a bowl of shitty everlasting stew. He ate it quietly. He's not complained once. He's not asked for anything. He has been stoic the entire time. And now, as Sass, you're driving the cart in the front, in the back, Jacquet, Bjorn, and Bjorn sit in the carriage.
Can I ask a question?
A question?
A question. So last time, Twig Snap had mixed something for him to take.
Mm-hmm.
Would I don't know. Would we have had a chance to ask her or ask him what that was so that we could have it with us?
I would say Twig Snap would probably provide you with whatever stores they had left of it. She has no use for it, so she would have given it. Probably would have given it directly to him.
Okay.
And it just would have been one of some of the few, because you did tell him to pack his things before he left. So we'll say he brought some of it with him.
Okay. All right. So make sure he's got his meds. Okay. Yeah. While we're getting ready, and I would have gotten ready really fast and just like immediately went and sat on the cart and just kind of like, I don't really know what to do with that, with everything that happens. So I'm kind of just sitting and I'm just lost in my own head and trying to sort through it all.
Okay.
Not quite brooding.
Not quite brooding. More squirming.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. As you would hit the road. Jacquet, Fearn, and Sass, and your new buddy, Bjorn.
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 So,
Bjorn.
Jacquet, how do you want to approach the Commodore with this?
What do you mean? It's a bounty. I'm gonna approach it like we have with every other one. We march him up and deposit him to the vampire and
Doyle.
be on our way.
Right, but usually you're the one to talk it up and, make sure we get paid, sometimes for more than what we did. I've just figured you had some sort of plan.
No fear, and this is pretty cut and dry.
Like,
Got the contract, we give it to them, we get our silver, and we move on. I don't know what there is to discuss here, he says, putting the book between him and Fearn.
What if Bjorn doesn't give them what they want?
Doesn't matter. That's not part of our job. Our job was simply to acquire him. And Jacques looks, gives a sideways glance to Bjorn, and deliver him to the Commodore's office. Nothing more, nothing less.
All right.
You see, as he gives that aside to Bjorn's just staring out the window, like hands in his laps, almost like his hands are in his laps, almost as if they were like lapped in irons. But he's just resting them gently on his knees, as he's just staring at the window. And he doesn't look discontent. He's not like glaring out the window. He's just watching the road, watching the fields you're passing by, occasionally looking up into the sky as he sees a bird take flight. He's just observing. Says nothing unless prompted.
Bjorn's artwork that he had done, that we saw, what would you say the quality of that was?
I would say that it started, like, I mean, from looking at what you saw in the shack.
So what we saw when we arrived, so who's working on a painting.
Yes. I described it last week as very impressionistic, very oh my god, almost
Go.
Van Gogh, very almost Van Gogh-esque in the sense that it's not realism, it's that impressionistic, swoopy, heavy, thick slabs of oil paint on it. It was good. I would say it wasn't like something you'd be like, this is a masterpiece, but it was certainly something that was good. You wouldn't look at it as someone who was like struggling to paint or an amateur. There was quality to it.
All right, cool. So unless anyone has anything else during the journey of the day, when we stop for the night, I imagine we stop a little early to, like get camp set up and everything, get a fire going, heat up some whatever. Jacques to Bjorn will say like, hey Bjorn, did you bring your painting supplies with you?
And you would see like nothing has affected this guy this entire day that you've been traveling. He's been as stoic as a statue. But this is the first time like he moves with a liveliness as he quickly looks to you from his typical stare off into the distance, his brooding, if you will. It's not brooding; it's stoically looking away. He looks back, and then he there's a slight excitement in his movements as he would just reach for his bag, and there's a side pocket of this very simple backpack, and he pulls out not like a huge canvas or anything like that. He pulls out very simple, like tin canister that he keeps oil paints in. That he like opens up and shows you, and it's like not like this is like a perfect little like smattering of paints. It's like kind of mixed up a little bit. It's very much a travel kit that has been used thoroughly. And he has just sort of like a few very small canvases with it, almost like a on the go little painting kit.
What kind of work do you mostly like to do? Landscapes, portraits, design work?
Design work. Mostly branding.
I think I know where you're going with that.
He looks and he goes, well, you live a solitary life. It's mostly landscapes. But I enjoy portraits. There are a few of Twig Snapback at camp. And I tried some from memory of Sass and Fearn. They never turned out quite right.
We saw the result of some of those back at your shack. Well, I don't have anything quite that interesting, but maybe you'd like to try your hand at some design, as Jacques will show him a piece of parchment that he's been working on. You'll see there in chat. I've doodled up some mock branding for iron and mana.
I knew that's what you were gonna do.
The I, it's an I ampersand and an M. The I, I'm not sure if I like horizontal or the diagonal better. The
I like the
I
diagonal.
is like a steel beam almost, or iron beam. The ampersand has a sword as the slash, and then trailing off the top and finishing the ampersand in like the swirling motion is like a magical magic.
Swoosh, magic swoosh.
Swoosh, yeah, magic swoosh, thank you. That then continues into the M of mana. I imagine it's a steel gray color for the eye and the sword, and then like a blue color for the swoop and the M. As Jacquet will basically ask him to either make a mock-up of this that's better than what he does, because I think Jacquet would probably just do it in either charcoal or pen. And then, it's not bad. It's, probably the same as what I did there,
Yeah.
a basic design. But, Jacquet would ask him to do the colors, and basically, and get like an artist's rendition of it to be used later for branding.
Amazing.
You see, as he's looking at the parchment that you have, you do see like a curl of a smile on his face, which is always striking on a Dragonborn. Whenever you see like the curl of a smile, because they have that long draconic snout. They're just there. I just like to imagine it's very like, if you're not around Dragonborn a lot, it's a little uneasy to be around them. But he looks at it and he sort of smirks and he says, "Clever. Interesting. What is I&M?"
Iron and mana. It's an ampersand. You're familiar?
Well, that's why I said
that's the name of our adventuring group. It's ourselves and two of our friends you'll meet on the morrow, or 2 days. 2 days.
2 days. I suppose I have the colors for this. I never thought I'd be designing for my captors, but I'll admit I have missed my paints over the day. And then he like goes to his backpack. He goes to his backpack and no persuasion roll needed because of your auto. Is it 20 or 21 now?
20 still.
Okay. You don't need to give a persuasion roll. I mean, he may have seemed a little incredulous at first when you handed it to him, like almost like there was a moment on his face where he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like the first emotion you've seen on him since you left. But then he kind of like twists his head at it, and you almost see like you've sparked a little bit of design inspiration in him by showing him this, and then he's like, "Oh, this actually would be kind of cool to do." Almost like he's forgetting he's bound for a cell at the end of this journey. And you would notice that he nods and he goes, "I suppose I owe more than this to Saskia and Fjern, so I'll happily work on this."
Much appreciated, my friend. No, it's going to a good cause.
So we're friends now.
I like to think of myself as friends with everyone I meet. Only enemies if they decide otherwise.
And there's this like low like guffaw that comes from him, like almost like he caught a laugh in his throat, like it's only yesterday that you were panicking about this situation and clearly fearful of some internal deep dark dread.
Don't know what you're talking about. There was no panic involved. I simply wanted to get back to the safe inn instead of in the dangerous woods.
And he goes in his bag and he pulls out a larger canvas than the little travel ones. One that is not a huge one, but one that's big enough to make like a nice version of this. 8 by 11, you might say.
Fantastic.
As he would sit down, and you would see he would pull out a little bit of charcoal and start to sort of just create designs and create little blueprints of it. And he hyper focuses into it, like he's gone. Like you would have to call his name several times to get his attention. He's just sitting by the fire.
I'll come over as he's working, and just watch him work. And I'm going to talk to the other two, not necessarily to Bjorn.
Mhm.
Just watching him work and say to the other two, it doesn't feel very fair that at the end of this, he goes away and I don't. When we both had a role in it. Been thinking about that all day, and I can't come up with... I can't make sense of it. My brain hurts.
I'd suggest the old adage that life isn't fair.
Yeah.
Fearn has been wearing his mask for most of the day, trying to avoid contact with, just talking with anybody. But he reveals his mask after hearing this and says, "You're not going away because you got stronger. You improved from your mistakes, and you found people who you can trust. As a team, we're more valuable, which keeps us alive."
No, I suppose that's true. I don't
I'd
know.
also argue that you're not worth much in a cell. Bjorn at least was a little higher up on the chain of command. He might know something, like the involvement of all those different factions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. I do fuck all.
Exactly, Jacquet says with a bright grin on his face, as if this is a good thing.
And you would see, even as he's sketching the iron eye, Bjorn doesn't look up from it, but just sort of out of the corner of his mouth, just says, "That's why the captain chose you. In his eyes, you weren't worth nothing. But
Wait, you weren't worth nothing, so she was worth something.
you were worth nothing to the captain. But you were worth something. That's why I tried to come back.
Was it just a guilty conscience?
What else motivates a man? What motivates you, Saskia?"
Don't answer that.
My fucking lawyer?
This man has said he's come back. He said a lot of nice things, but he never once apologized. How do I really know that he even tried?
I'm not on the bone rattler.
Yeah.
Maybe you fucked him over some other way, and they set you loose.
Maybe.
To answer your question, it's doing the right thing, I suppose. That's what motivates me.
Ugh, Jacquet says.
Then you were bound to be left on a rock.
Yeah.
Not much in piracy for doing the right thing.
No.
Except to your fellow pirate. Which is why I tried to come back. But I failed. And he looks to Fearn, finally looking up from his drawing.
Bearden would not acknowledge that he's looking at him. He would kind of just turn and do his own thing because Sass isn't talking anymore.
But at the end of the day, and he's really sketching like really strong motions here. Though my memories leave me alive, I fear water. But there's some beautiful things I can still create. Big Snap is alive, and you are alive, and you are alive, looking to Fearn. And I only pray that Cornelius is alive as well.
I'm alive too, by the way. Remember, your actions had consequences for myself and everyone else on that airship you assisted in, launching out of the sky. But no, it's okay. Your fellow crew members who did the bad thing, they're all fine. It's fine. Everything's fine, Jacquet says as he gets up and starts to make his way towards his tent.
Yeah. Death's part of the sea. And we were pirates, right, Saskia?
Yeah,
Yar.
we were. But then, so then, are you an artist now? Is that how you define yourself?
And the first point of his stoicism breaks here, and there's a little bit of embarrassment in his voice now. I dabble. I wouldn't call myself an artist yet.
Well, then what do you call yourself if you're not a pirate anymore? Just a person? Something?
He looks at you
Nothing?
with confusion on his face. Did you only value yourself as a pirate? Is that the only thing you clung to?
Yeah. Still kind of is, but even that's slipping away. Because I'm not really doing much pirating.
And you see he stops with his heavy sketches, and you can see there's those reptilian eyes look up. He doesn't move his head up to you.
Mm.
And then he cocks his head. Do you think that we were on that ship because of some love for killing? Pirating?
No. For a love of adventure.
That's not why most men were on that ship. Most of us were on that ship to avoid being press-ganged into halcyonic fleets and to avoid living a life bound to those who would pay us to earn our own food, earn our own keep. Slaving away in fields or factories. Freedom, yes. Adventure, sometimes a happy side, a happy happenstance. We were on that ship for survival. I had some people because they did run afoul with the law.
Mm-hmm. Survival. Yeah. I
At
suppose
the
that's true.
Yeah, at the word of the survival, when Saskia repeats it, Fearn just clenches his fist but doesn't say anything.
People like Hastings sought adventure and glory. The rest of us wanted coin and a say in our lives.
I wanted adventure. I guess I got it then, yeah? Doing this. I don't know.
I said all it's cracked up to be. Adventurer.
It has its moments. a happy happenstance, as you put it, I guess. I'm still figuring it out.
He turns the canvas over to show you the Iron and Mana logo, as it's so just like a refined version, but still rough because it's just a sketch. And he just sort of his eyes are just over the top of it, but you can't see his mouth. It's just says, Iron and Mana. Adventurers. It's
Premier
not.
adventures of Hyvin. First sanctioned adventures.
That's such
From
a
his tent.
mouthful. That's such a mouthful, Jacques. Must we say that every time?
No, not until it's, ingrained in everyone's brains.
Bjorn stands up and you can see he's a little unsteady on his steps, but he straightens himself out as he's just sort of a little bit of groaning, like maybe he's getting groggy as it's just getting late. Sanctioned adventurers. And he goes and he just sort of stumbles over and hands the sketch design to Jacques, and then kind of looks back at the fire and then to the rest of you. A little laugh, a little bit. For a moment, he almost seems drunk in that second. He's privateers, and then heads back and opens the carriage and gets inside to sleep.
For that brief moment where Fearon's alone with Saskia, he lets his mask down again and says, I don't like him.
Why? He's harmless.
He tries to be honorable, but he
Is he not?
forgets one of the code.
And what's that?
If one must kill others, make your intentions clear and seek no revenge. He tried to kill us.
No. Hastings did. He was just following orders.
You should have said that when we were on that island, when we got on that boat. We had no choice. If he didn't either, you should have said so.
Yeah, well, Pirate's code is different from your code. But I suppose that's not our code, my code anymore. I'm gonna sleep on it. I don't really know what my code is anymore. I'll figure it out in the morning. Good night.
Never betray your oaths, Sea Witch. If you believe in something, it should last your entire life.
It's a long time, if you're lucky.
You hear an audible snicker from the tent.
I roll out my bedroll and I go to sleep. I try to go to sleep.
Okay.
Fearon takes first watch.
Okay, if you can give me a perception check.
Six.
What was it?
6.
Oh, I'm sorry. I 100% thought you said dicks.
I did too.
I also heard dicks.
Like you were like that was like your expression of disappointment.
I was disappointed.
Yes.
Oh, look at that puppy. Give him some loving.
No, he'll stay like that all night.
Kiss him on the mouth.
Squitch, 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 squitch.
Come.
Oh, sweet boy.
Look, Cooper. It's the internet.
Pet me.
He's more interested in your finger, yeah.
Right. All right. Go ahead. You're a good boy. Okay.
Thank
You're right.
you.
He is stuck there now. So, Fearon, you take the first watch, and I imagine you're, maybe leaning against the carriage or sitting on a rock or on your bedroll, just keeping an eye around. Sass is sleeping. in her bedroll. A few snores here and there. As you can also hear the little from inside Jacquette's tent.
No,
No, not
not
tonight.
tonight.
Yeah, Jacquette is
Sleeping.
suspiciously quiet. And that's why maybe you got a 6 in your perception check. No. You look out and it's a calm night. Skies are clear. There's no rain or clouds or lightning or thunder. It's calm. It's peaceful. You can see up in the sky some of the various travelers of the sky, the moons of Vero. You see the great moon at the center of the sky, Ilyuvania's crescent heart, preparing for the long dark, as it's positioning itself in front of the planet Vero, the gas giant in the sky, as we're about a month or so from the beginning of winter, in the long dark. Stars abound, and perhaps some of this majesty is what's distracting you on this, and perhaps muttering a few thoughts to the elements as you have in previous nights. But not much happens on your watch, other than the
Yes.
beauty of the wild. Saskia,
Yes.
you don't have visceral dreams like you did on the way here.
Mhm.
But your dreams are still unsettling. Almost like you're no longer remembering them. You're awakening with a sense of terror in your heart, with a vague image in your head that vanishes as soon as you remember it. All you know is it's something horrifying. Horrifying. In a way that you can't even express. You wake in fear and sweat and stare up into the sky and the endless stars. And each time you wake up, they almost mingle as if they are the surface of the ocean before straightening out into reality. As you stare up, though, the sky, you feel a tremendous sense of unease, as if you are staring into the abyss of the ocean, as you're staring at the endlessness of whatever is in the sky, the darkness beyond the stars. For a moment, fear mingles with curiosity, mingles with awe, and then back to dread. And you lull back to sleep, to awake 2 hours later in the same fluster of sweat and fear. You'll still get your long rest, but it's a crummy one. You're going to be groggy in the morning.
I'm not driving tomorrow morning.
Jacquette, you dream on this evening. Perhaps this is why we're not hearing the meows as we usually do. Jacquette, being the stalwart of just confidence, she doesn't have to dream. He doesn't need to process anything. But Jacquette, you, again, as if we start in the middle, you are suddenly in a luxury bar, and all around are luxury tables of cards, of dice, every immediacy that you love, everything that numbs, sustains, excites. And you hear just the loud sounds of the space. You hear ringing of bells and music when people win. You can hear an old modified, refurbished gramophone playing loud, boisterous, gnomish jazz. As you sort of almost awake into this scene at a table, you look you sort of look up to the left and you can see windows sort of wrapping around this entire space. You could just see clouds moving by very quickly. As you look up and you can see a man grinning at you with some 5 o'clock shadow mingled with a pronounced and waxed mustache, and slightly longer chin, facial hair. What?
Roland.
That's right. As you can see, his short, very stylized, wavy hair, with that blue cloak that hangs over his shoulder, that hangs atop that decorated jacket with enameled gold. As he grins, holding up the dice that you now carry with your adventures. The grin so wide that you can see that gold tooth that he hides that's back in the molars. Jacquette, I thought you drifted off for a moment.
Yeah, sorry. Your bet, I think?
Oh, yes. The evening's coming for us, my friend. As he looks around, you can see people are kind of in their sloshy, near midnight drunk, and the games are getting more chaotic, although this one stays almost still amongst the chaos of the rest of the space. The music gets louder and gaudier, but it starts to mute around you, as if you are trapped within a sphere almost with Roland at this table. But you're right. My bet. And since this is after your friends have lost, and you can kind of look to another table, and you see some of the folks that you spent time with on the airship just loudly barking at each other, gambling at a different table with lower stakes. You see Saxton, the little gnome with the beard and the glasses on. You see... as I swiftly sift through my NPC cards.
Dilgra?
Yep. You see Stilgra. Your half-orc a friend with her kind of worker's clothes, but that attitude that she has, her long dark hair, as she's sort of taking alcohol away from Saxton, the little gnome, who was guzzling down a pint that he shouldn't have at this point. This is as Roland, this ostensibly human Jacquette, if you really look at him, like he's the human Jacquette. A pretty boy with clear, noble upbringing who tries to slum it when he can. Terms are the same. And the way he says this is almost as if he's breaking the illusion of the dream, as in like, this moment's going to happen the same as it did last time, right? As he holds the dice up.
Which I value most, right? And Jacquette takes out a piece of paper. And this time, instead of offering the nice rapier at his waist, instead of offering the hand drums or the hand crossbow or his fancy leather armor that has sheaths for his daggers that he finds just so cool, he takes out a piece of paper and writes out his name, Jacquette Touchard, and slides it to Roland.
He takes it and drags it towards him and looks at it.
Because, clearly you're some fake creature, right? I give you my name and, we're gonna go on some crazy adventures. I end up in Neverland and I can't wait.
He holds up the paper, the parchment, and he sort of flaps it, and he looks at his... Oh, you've learned a lot in your adventures. But...
What do you mean?
Oh, mistook you for someone else for a moment. As he drops the paper to the table and says, I suppose it's acceptable. And it's almost like everything moves quickly for a moment and you're almost unfocused, as then suddenly it comes back into focus. You just see a very gentle hand sort of caresses along his shoulder over his head to the other side, as sitting down next to him is Navira, the beautiful woman in the lavish pink dress with the hair done up in the ornate, jeweled and laced curls and buns and ribbons. She just sort of she sits into him and leans her head on his shoulder with a very large grin on her face as he holds up the paper to her. And she snatches it and looks at it. Ooh. Are you sure?
It's the terms of the bet, is it not? That which I value most. Please, Roland, Navira, I can't lie to you.
They both grin at you in a way that's too uniform. It's too in unison. The way their heads even turn is almost in unison, as Navira slides the paper into the middle of the table and stands up and kind of walks around and almost mimics what she just did with Roland to you, where her hand caresses along your shoulders and then she rests next to you, her head very close to your ear, as she just whispers, You can't run away from me for too long, Jacquette. You can only be so lucky. And suddenly the ship jerks to a stop, and you look up, and for a moment, Roland's skin is bright red with large horns as he grins back at you and then vanishes as the lights go out in the casino. And you look over and you can see Navira is wearing the ragged dress that is made up of different sewn together cloth and flags of ships, as she just has that necklace around her neck of the seashells and the sea glass. And her face looks a little more gaunt and tired as her hair almost turns to seaweed as she just looks and smiles at you and kisses you on the cheek before the ship collapses into the sea. Do you wake up in your tent?
He turns over and reaches into his pack, and pulling out the pair of dice, he just kind of rolls them over his fingers before shuffling in again and taking out, or just dragging out to look at it, the seashell necklace of Navira, as he goes, "Load of hogwash," as he turns over and tries to go back to sleep.
And you all sleep. Maybe unsteadily. Maybe Fearon has a good night's rest because he's like, oh, I did watch pretty good. But of course, you can awake the next day and go on the last bouts of the journey to make it to Septimus's farm.
Somebody else needs to drive. I slept like shit.
Jacquette looks to Fearon.
Really? All right.
Just be nice to the horses. Just don't drive them too fast and just.
I immediately drive them too fast.
After like 10 minutes, Fearon, stop, for God, by the Crescent Heart. And Jacquette takes over.
Excellent. So you travel for the next 2 days, and will at eventually towards the setting of the sun on the third day arrive to the farm. In which we're going to take a break.
So it's going to be the 26th.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
All right. We will be back very shortly, friends. Please stick around with us, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back to Adrift in Aldhalor.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Our heroes are reconvening at Septimus's farm after some travel and separate adventuring. But before we have that reunion on the sunset of the 26th of Inarum, Septimus and Bruce, you have a few more days of downtime to work on things if you would like. You have essentially 3 more days that you can work on stuff before your friends will return. Is there anything particular you want to work on during this time? Bruce, I'll say by this point you've accomplished creating your side chamber.
All right, cool. Once I do that, I probably will then be like, yeah, Septimus, what do you think about me dropping that teleportation circle downstairs? Now that I've made the space for it.
Well, you did what?
I went down to your cellar and I went through some stuff. And I made a sectional to possibly put a teleportation circle. I know I probably should have been using the time to fix up your house rather than create more holes in walls.
That's actually great news. I would like to come here more often, especially with my workshop. Work on some things. But we probably should run it past the rest of the group. I know it's something we had talked about. And who knows if they'll all be on board, especially with the state that's in right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I personally would love it.
All right. Well, just one other thing before I go ahead and, we go through with this. You mentioned something about the house not being totally yours, or it was given to you guys by I don't know. I don't remember who. The governor, some sort of.
Yes. Well, yes. My parents were given this land. I can just
by
tell
who?
you.
Thank you. Because my notes aren't big.
It was given to, well, not the governor directly, but just the government, the bureaucracy that he ran. I don't know if I actually mentioned this before, but my parents were originally from Halcyon. During the uprising, they were
part of the
they were refugees. No, heavens no. They were just refugees. Actually, that's what led to part of the reason why they got this land. There was such a big influx of people fleeing Halcyon, trying to come to the After Islands, that the cities were overrun with all these people. Crime rose. There was a lot of poverty. So in order to try to remedy the situation, the Saipajan enacted that he'd be giving land grants to some of the refugees, given that try to displace them away from the cities, move to the countryside. And in return, they just do the farming and work the lands to produce food for the country. So when I say we were given the land, that's where it came from. And then after their passing, both of them, I was the only one left of their kin to inherit it.
So the land is officially under your name as it stands right now.
Well, yes, I still have the deed.
Okay. And there's besides this railway being put in, there's no chance of them taking it back, right?
Septimus sighs for a long second, because following the conversation that he had, and kind of knowing that yes, that's something I am afraid of. If it was given to me and my family by Saipajin of the government, I mean, if the railways is something of his interest, I don't see why they would take it back. But he does know us personally now, so I'm hoping that the next opportunity we get the chance to see him, he will maybe do his Hyven's hero, or one of his Hyven's heroes, a favor, and maybe find a different route for his project.
I guess we should solve that first before I go ahead and put this very expensive teleporter in. All right. In that case, I'll just spend my time trying to fix up the house, and maybe I'll work on this gun arm of yours. Also, one other thing, as like Bruce was about to leave. I may have tried to contact Modron the other day.
What?
Did
you find him?
I got Lacuna.
What did he say?
He was wondering where we were, and yeah, it was real creepy. I don't want to do that again.
Did it seem like he sensed you, or knew where we were?
I couldn't get that much detail. That's why I haven't been sleeping great. It's not the old mattress, it's that. Anyway, yeah, so just keep one eye open.
All right.
Hopefully the party gets back sooner.
And it's like almost like I imagine you had that conversation over like dinner one night, and it's dark outside, and it's really windy, and it's rickety against the walls of the the farm as you're trying to sleep, and every single sound of just like metal sheets from the scrapyard hitting each other. You're just but yeah, if you would like to give me a check to work on the gun, you can give me a Tinker Tools check.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you roll that.
I will happily. I'm gonna give myself advantage too. That's a 22. I'm gonna bump that up to a 27.
Okay, nice. So you have determined that you will be able to do this. That you will be able to attach the gun to this. It's just going to take precise work and some maybe teaming up to craft some little modules and utilizing different materials. It will cost you 200 silver worth of materials to basically replace, because you're going to have to do something specific here. You're going to have to both make sure that the arm can modulate to the gun, but then you also have to like make sure that you can return to the other tools, and that it can still like you're not like just ripping off the old module, putting a new one on, and they can't use the blowtorch, can't use the XYZ, the saw. So you are basically like reinventing a new module that'll communicate with both systems. Or renovating the system of his old modules to be all unified to one. So that whole process is going to cost you 200 silver worth of materials, and is going to take you some time to actually accomplish. So whenever you're not actively doing anything, like whether it's downtime or just travel time in the back of the carriage, you can work on this and work on the tools. But it is going to take you a week's worth of time to create this. And I'll say you've been kind of working on it a little bit, so I'm gonna say you've already done half a week's worth. So you only need 3 more days of time to accomplish this.
All right. In that case, I'll probably. I mean, I'll let Septimus know, like, hey, this is gonna cost some silver to do. You still want to go through with it?
How much?
Around 200.
Make it so.
No, it's all right.
Septimus will hand over that amount to Bruce.
Perfect. So you'll have basically done 4 days of work on this by the time the Septimus or Fjern, Jacquet, and Sass get there. So then on the 29th of Inarum, you will have completed the gun attachment, and and Septimus will have Septimus will have his gun hand or his pistol hand. I will say, Septimus, unless you take the firearm expert feat, it does have that reload property that you'll have to manage.
Wait, say that again. I'd have to take the feat to use that.
So there's a feat that is similar to crossbow expert, where it allows you to ignore the reload feature.
Yes. Okay.
So it just means once I'll have to make this item for you. You're also taking up a modular space within it to attach it here. Which, Bruce, remind me, did I tell you how many modular spaces were on it?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think, yeah. No.
Okay. So I'll look back at my notes. I'm pretty sure it was either that 1 modular space or it was 2. Because I believe the originally Hastings did have a reload module on it to allow him to ignore the reload function. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, Bruce, you know that with further work and further investment of materials, you can add modules to it. You also can, the further you reverse engineer the Bunkos IP, the more you'll just start to be able to spend money to modulate things. Maybe add a module to Septimus's arm. Maybe add a module to another item someone has.
So are you considering every single time I work on something that's related to the Bunkos as reverse engineering it?
Yes.
Would you consider that?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. You've basically, like, for all intents and purposes, I'll refine this to a more formal system. You've basically leveled up today in your Bunkos understanding.
In your Bunko.
You were a level 1 Bunko before. You're a level 2 Bunko now. Just wait until you get sued. And we have 10 sessions of just the trial
of litigation.
Yeah.
I would also.
Josh can take my spot for that.
Yeah, Josh will represent Bruce. We'll make a homebrew class that's just lawyer.
Yeah, tell Josh to start working on a lawyer character.
I feel like he's got to be the judge because he's the only one of us that knows the law.
He doesn't know Aldhalor law.
Technically, yes. Sean knows all the laws of his world.
Yeah. All of them, sure.
Bruce would probably also be just eliminating any trace that it was originally, like repurposing the Bunkos.
Scratching the serial number off.
Scratching the serial number off,
I say that jokingly, but there is. It's a highly protected intellectual property. There's 100% signifiers of the Bunkos apparatus union that you can find, and you can start to work to remove. The most surefire way to remove this is to damage it and then mend it. And it almost leaves almost like a scarred area that doesn't quite match what it was originally.
Yeah, I can like heat metal, distort it, and then just use mending spell.
Yeah.
Well.
And yeah, so Septimus, you now have a well, you will in 3 days have a gun module for your arm, pistol module.
So arm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bunko.
A bunko. Your arm is becoming a bunko arm. But as you, the two of you, finish out the day's work, whatever it is, Septimus doing his physical therapy, Bruce, working on the bunko's arm. Sal is, oddly enough, the most human of the three of you, just enjoying the nice day, wandering around the farm, becoming sentient, or learning more about the world. You would hear the wheels of the carriage, the hoofs of Maps and Brown, as you could hear your friends up the pathway returning. Likewise, the three of you see the familiar sights of raccoon debris, and the big old mess that is Septimus's house.
Aw.
Yo, I say.
Hey!
Septimus is just on the porch in a rocking chair.
Yeah.
With his arm in the sling.
In the sling.
Oh,
Well,
gosh,
that's new.
And so, like, am I able to, like, move it?
This is 6 days in, so you have almost full mobility in it. It's almost like it's like very like weak, and it's like almost like you just got your cast off essentially. You need to be careful with it, but you have full functionality.
So, like, raise it and, like,
Whoa.
wave.
Wow.
It's just like that. The wrist is like,
Kieran looks like oddly like creeped out and is like, "Good for you."
You've been busy. That's exciting. How do you feel?
Like it was a success.
Good.
Still have need some time to fully grasp it.
Makes
The
sense.
nerve endings and the machines are still intertwining, but each day is getting better.
Wow. What a feat.
A great Bruce here was a huge help.
You guys make a
Yeah.
great team, you know that?
We found our target.
Yes, how did that go? As he kind of like looks to see. As he sees like another figure, I guess, and just
In the
chilling
carriage, yeah.
Any problems?
No. Oddly enough, it was not at all what at least I was expecting. I don't know about the other two, but it was very peaceful, I suppose is the word I would use. He just came with
come
us.
willingly.
Yeah.
He's resigned from his previous post. I guess there is some kind of discourse between himself and old Captain Hastings, which resulted in our friend Bjorn traveling back to try to reacquire these two, Jacquet says, gesturing to Sass and Fjern, but given the storm, did not make it back and washed ashore sometime later. And then, I think it was the guilt mostly, led him to drink, and the drink led him to draw, and then, some poetic stuff. But he's resigned himself to be turned in, so
Also,
it all worked out in the end.
It's
Wow.
it's as Jacquet is finishing out the statement that Bjorn steps out of the carriage, and sort of like, in a unceremonious way is like, this is my introduction, as he steps down out of the carriage and looks to you, Bruce and Septimus, and just gives you a very polite nod, and actually steps up to just sort of like shake your hands, actually, as he just looks and says, it's a short telling of it. I understand my sins and my fate and your business. As he just holds a hand out to respectfully shake each of your hands.
And as is Jacquet's true fashion, gave him a job.
He
Paying him.
He lingers on your hand, Septimus, and
I know as I'm like slowly just trying to like reach out.
and he
But
takes
it is
and he
my
goes,
right hand.
and he looks and he goes, "Oh, Tinkerer, valuable on a ship. Twigsnap would have loved to have seen this." As he starts to just examine your arm, and like looks, and it follows it up, and then sees the arm on your back, and there is a smirk on his face and a little glint in his eye as he's not for himself, but imagining something someone else he cares about deeply would enjoy. As he finishes the shake and nods to you, it's actually kind of nice, Septimus, as this is one of the first people you've ever met who has not immediately been like, "Whoa, what the fuck," about your body, and who has just like appreciated it in a weird way. Besides Bruce. Bruce had a little bit of a like, "Whoa," but he immediately turned into appreciation.
Yeah. Would the rest of you like to see as he kind of just like starts pulling up his sleeve to show like the full arm?
That's so
Sure, it's
impressive.
wonderful, truly. It's a little weird.
It's more
fucking
weird than not having an
amazing.
arm at all.
Yeah, you've got a function.
It's definitely more weird.
Oh, don't listen to them. That's well done, both of you.
All right.
What's the matter?
So Bjorn's just gonna come willingly. He's just gonna hand himself over to the Commodore.
Hi.
I have no
All
interest in fighting,
Okay.
and I understand the gravity of my situation.
Insight check.
Give me an insight check.
That's a 12.
As far as you can tell, I mean, you're a little freaked out by it because no one's this honest and stoic and peaceful about being imprisoned. But also you're like, none of your friends have bound him. He's just standing in front of me. He shook my hand. With a 12, Bruce, you're flabbergasted.
All right.
Septimus is enamored because he appreciates his body, and is like, well, I'll take it. Good news for you because the Commodore is looking for bigger fish to fry. So I'm sure if you give her some useful information, maybe your sentence will be cut a bit.
He kind of looks out to your farm at this point, and like that sort of stoicness returns from the excitement over the machine parts. And he kind of like takes a deep breath and tilts his head up as there's sort of a breeze coming through. As he would just say, "There's much that I don't remember about my time in the Bone Rattler. If I can help, I will. Truthfully." And he looks back to Sass and Fearn. "So long as she doesn't turn me over to Halcyon, I am not afraid."
She might. It is a possibility.
What's so scary about Halcyon?
When you cross the Commodore of Aldhalor, or a rival, or a local governor, you know your end. It's one of two things. A cell, if you're lucky, and a noose, if you're not. With Halcyon, not so certain. But the only thing you're certain of is it will be painful. And it will be long. Very, very long.
And where did you get this info from? Somebody did just tell you this like tale? I mean, if somebody went there, right?
Mhm.
That means somebody would have to come back and tell you the story. It wasn't just some like threat that somebody made up.
Well, you see, lad, a lot of things are shared amongst ships in ports all over the seas. I'll admit some of this might be fear-mongering. But I've also seen the terror in the eyes of lads and lasses who are fleeing Halcyon and looking for a different life. I'll admit I've never met a person who's escaped Halcyon's clutches, which I think is a bit more frightening.
Yeah, our jail cells are pretty top notch.
Jail cells. Well, you're a tinkerer, right?
Yeah,
What strikes fear in your heart, then, little dragon?
everything.
Bruce.
Ah, yeah. You've heard of the, those who hunt after the intellectual property of wealthy in Halcyon.
Yeah.
You know, so think about how harsh they are on intellectual, crime, so to speak. Now imagine how much harsher they'll be on a pirate.
Yeah, pretty harsh. I
Yeah.
can see that. But, you know, either way. Never mind.
Is there somewhere I can rest here? A real bed?
There's a dusty mattress
No.
upstairs on the second floor.
You
Are we
can have them unless
stopping?
Do you
Wait.
guys still need to stay here, or can we get on the road?
I was about to ask you all that question. You've been traveling for some time.
So it is
We're
like
pretty much done with everything we need here. But
it
if
is
you
like
guys need
6
to
or
rest-
7 o'clock at night. Like it is the night is coming.
Well, why don't we rest for tonight and then we start in the morning?
All right.
That'd probably be for the best. We don't have much for food, but
No, we don't. We have to find something to hunt.
what were you gonna say, Septimus?
Oh, I was going to thank Jaquette. He's not impressed by this. He kind of rolls his sleeve down.
No, I'm very impressed by it. It's just unnatural.
But we were also able to come up with this. As you see, like his arm whips around and you see just the gun right there.
Oh,
The gun kind of
Not
like
pointing it at anybody.
yeah.
Obviously.
you can tell though that it's not finished. Like the gun kind of like isn't quite sitting right. It needs a little
It's
bit
like
of work.
limp.
Yeah, right. It's not like Septimus has to like almost like jostle the arm to make it point at anything, as it's just sort of like hanging down. But it's getting there.
One more day of work. It'll be perfect and functional.
That looks rather impressive. I can't wait to see it in action.
Yeah, we'll see how it does. Bruce says under his breath.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, what do you guys think about putting a teleportation circle here in Septimus's abode?
Sure.
Sounds fine.
Suppose it'll keep those land grabbers away.
Well, we don't know that
We don't-
portion. That's also another thing we probably should figure out.
Oh, that'll be easy. I can get that figured out, no problem.
I was hoping to talk to at least the Commodore, but maybe even Saipodget again sometime soon to talk about that. I'd like to have some assurances that this will remain my property, despite any government projects.
All right. Well then, once we get that figured out, then I'll go ahead and install that.
I don't see what the issue is. I told you, they will not take your land as long as Jacques Touchard has anything to say about it.
I think it's gonna take me like a whole day to do. Also,
Okay, well, it sounds like you were wasting time then, but whatever, who cares?
yeah, probably.
Sean, I have a question.
Ask.
Okay. The dread that you said I was feeling earlier, was that like a feeling that something bad was going to happen, or was it more just like existential dread?
I will say, Saskia. A little bit of both.
Okay.
A little column A, a little column B. Like maybe right when you wake up, it feels like it's dread that something bad will happen, and then that evolves into existential dread throughout the day.
Okay. All right. Well then, as we're all dispersing for the evening.
Wait, before everybody goes, just want to let everybody know that Lacuna, aka Modron, might be coming for us.
What?
So
I don't know.
He wanted to reach out to Modron and see how if he was still out there. And he said he contacted Lacuna and was looking for him.
How do
Just
we-
smash that thing day one.
Right.
Are we talking Lacuna like the big version, or is it just like Lacuna in Modron's body? Because option 2, I'm not too worried about. Option 1, a little more concerned.
Well, I contacted the Modron's body, so I'm assuming it's option 2. Either way, I'm terrified of it.
Ah, please. It'll be a cakewalk. Fionn can crush that thing with one hand tied behind his, probably both hands, actually.
Oh, Fearin, if you don't mind me, I might sleep in the same room as you. It's I'm just trying to get it.
Doesn't make a difference to me.
Oh wait, you got the mask thing. Oh shit.
I will say it has been 7 days since the last mask incident.
Is
We
that
are
how
on
it's
a
measured?
Solus.
Like, would I have noticed that by now? Because Fearn's just been taking it as it comes.
You would have noticed it's pretty
A
much a
weekly
weekly thing. Yeah, it's gives. Sometimes it's a day late. Sometimes it's a day early. But
Hate when that happens.
I was like, I will wait for Shannon to make the joke. Because I was thinking the same thing. But yes, it could be tonight.
Right.
So, anything else you'd like to do before going to bed?
I
No.
mean, if we got the rest of the night, maybe I'll just, start doing repairs where I can with the wood that I cut the last time I was here.
That's
Just
fair.
keep him busy.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
gonna go fidget with my my little tiny toy ship and
Do you guys want to eat dried meats, or did you want to take Septimus up on a potential hunt for some better food?
should probably hunt.
I mean, you said it's 6 p.m.?
Yep.
In what is ostensibly late fall.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dark.
It's not going to be
Fine.
nice. Yeah. Oh no,
Fine.
it's
Dried
not.
meats.
It's not a good idea. I'm just asking if you want to do it.
Dried meats.
Dried meats it is.
Yeah, it's very dark out
I'm
by the
trying to
time
be
you guys settle
polite.
down. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to go hunting in the Raho Hills night.
I like
Uh,
Roja better.
Yeah, I think last time he said it was Spanish for red.
I
Which-
told you
Is that Roja
at the
or
beginning
Rojo?
of this session that I made a mistake, that I named them the Raho Hills. And Roja just happens to be red in Spanish, and that's what I said last week. perhaps when making this fictional landscape, I thought I will call them the Red Hills, but change the letters around a little. Just like
That's
all of
world building.
Gwenvalier is Gaelic names with the letters changed up. Or Welsh. Or Icelandic. Anyway, go to bed. You can tell Jacques is not having existential dreams because he's meow meow meow.
He's making his little noises.
Where's everyone sleeping?
Master
Why does it
bedroom.
matter?
In the same room as Fearin.
I'm sleeping in the lower main room that has the fireplace.
Okay.
I'm sitting against the wall, or like laying against the wall.
Yeah, I think I'll be by the front door. Like I think where I've been before.
Yep, that's usually where
Right.
you are.
Yeah. On my bedroll.
So we have Jacques in the master bedroom. We have our three in the living room space with Ian, Sass, and Bruce. Septimus, where would you rest this evening?
How was the evening tonight as far as weather?
I'll tell you in a second. It was a very nice day, and it continues to be a nice evening. I mean, it's chilly. We got highs of 49 odons, lows of 38 odons. Moderate wind force with a wind speed of 16 miles per hour.
No, it's too chilly.
So,
No, Septimus will go in to the den with the bedroll.
Odons, not to be confused with udons.
true. That is a surname.
Which
For
is
particular-
the decibel equivalent in this world.
Yes.
Where does
based on-
Bjorn go?
And
to
it is measured by the slurps of Michael Udon.
sleep? So gross.
About,
I actually
we are consistently hit with about 10 udons of slurp from Mike.
just that word slurp. God. I would have invited Bjorn to rest in the living room with the rest of us.
Bjorn would have.
That's a good point. Fearin would probably stay close to him just in case.
Yeah. Bjorn would oblige and rest there. Would like everyone in the living room though to tell me their passive perception.
You got it, boss. 14.
12.
14.
12.
15.
You're not in the living
Well, I will take yours too.
Oh, 15.
You know, got a cat-like reflexes, man. You all stay quietly asleep. You don't hear anything. You know, nothing wakes you.
There's something.
Got up to pee in the middle
I'm
of the night. Is what Sean
suspicious.
did.
As the night goes through.
Bruce wakes up dead.
Bruce.
How you gonna wake up dead?
Bruce. Mr. Bruce. I'm sorry, Mr. Rebellin. You are asleep. You are resting. In this restful state in the living room or in the den, you twitch a little bit. Body responding to stimuli. And then you feel a jolt of pain in your head, like a striking headache. So you would wake up. Your goggles are on. And you are seeing the typical tremor sense of your goggles. And you know, you described it as these sort of conjoining lines that make up a simulacrum of the space around. These lines appear to you in that kind of, I believe you said, it was originally in kind of like a red hue, or was it there was a color hue to it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I always
It was
imagined it
red.
in like a bluish hue.
So we'll
but-
go with blue. But that blue,
Actually, no, I think you're right, Sean.
I think you did originally describe it as red, but I'm okay
I
with
think-
going with blue if that's what you imagine.
Go with red. Go with red.
Okay, okay.
For consistency's sake.
Okay.
Change my
Yeah. Because I had this distinct feeling of like it looking like if you've ever seen LiDAR scans. I
Yes.
almost had like that image, but all like in a red hue.
Yeah, that's perfectly
The lines that you constantly see, which if this was LiDAR would be the lasers, but for you is the tremor sense, that form the space, they are hazy almost, like staticky. Before as they all shake and come together into a rough face. Not distinctly any race or species, just a humanoid face with no eyes, just sort of made up of geometric lines staring at you from within your goggles.
Bruce just takes those off.
And as you whip them off of your head, you would just hear like the very faint whisper of just that voice, the same voice of Lacuna, just saying, "You are close."
Bruce is just gonna just get up and run towards Fearn. Fearn? Bruce
What?
is also doesn't have his goggles on because he's like trying
Trip
to
over me on your way over to Fear.
Yeah. Sassy trips over to you, and you wake up for a second.
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh,
Bruce?
Saskia,
Are you alright? What's going on?
that Machina God Lacuna is nearby.
What? What? Fuck, what?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't-
fuck, like
You
outside
see
the door?
him?
What?
Wait, put these on. Do you see anything?
You've never worn these before, Sass, I don't think. So it's just a confusing, just like amalgam of red lines and shapes that are making you dizzy and a little nauseous as you look through it. You don't see a face. You do not see a face.
No, I just see red.
Fearn's up and immediately like summons his weapon and like runs to like the nearest window or door to look outside.
Well, there's a gaping hole in the side of the building that you can go
Perfect.
with just a tarp flapping in the moderate winds.
It's okay, Bruce. We got it. I don't know why I'm going back here. I summoned my thing with a splash of seawater as well. My scimitar. I don't know how you pronounce
Splashes all over Bruce.
it. Sorry,
Which direction,
sorry.
Bruce?
I don't know where. All I know is that he's nearby. That's it.
Do you see him?
I saw a face in my goggles.
What? Fear goes and takes the goggles.
You also see an indiscernible mass of red lines that makes you a little sick in your stomach.
I hit the side of him, like smack it a little.
No.
Don't break them.
It sounds like really cringy to you, Bruce, as he hits the side.
Oh, don't do that. All right, give me this back. Hold on. Bruce is gonna put them back on.
So the red lines kind of like are for a moment you see normally as you would through them, and then the longer you wear them, the more it shakes and vibrates again, the lines, and blurs before forming the face again.
Okay. All right. So it appears if I keep wearing it, Lollyrock. Get out of your cage.
Comes out of the rock.
Bruce is just gonna put his goggles back on and then change his vision towards Lollyrocks.
Yeah. As you do that, everything is you see normally through Lollyrock. There's sort of that moment where
Okay.
it's like it's does that like out of focus into focus. You hear the little gyrating of the focus, as and it's just like you see. I imagine Lollyrock's vision is more like fish-eyed, wide angle than your normal vision.
Yeah.
As you're
Bruce.
looking up at as Lollyrock's looking up at Bruce and Fearn and Sass.
Bruce, what the
Lollyrock-
hell are you doing? Are we in danger or not?
We
I
might
don't know.
be, Fearn. We might be.
Um,
Just give him a second.
I'm gonna put
I
a,
don't understand.
yeah. I'm gonna just alarm this room, and we'll go back to bed. Yeah. That's what we'll do.
You expect us to go back to sleep after that? There's something. If there's something watching you, we need to be alert.
Fion's already gone and sat back down where he was sleeping.
I'll stay up with you, Bruce, if it'll make you feel
All right.
safer.
Thank you, Saskia.
Yeah. Bless you, Cooper.
Bruce is gonna put down the alarm spell also.
Mhm. Yeah, no problem. I imagine you put it like at those openings.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really weird because like he's looking through Lollyrock's eyes,
Yeah.
and then like Lollyrock's just kind of following Bruce while he's watching himself lay down this.
You could have Lollyrock, like fly on your shoulder or something and look
Yeah,
down.
probably. That would be too easy, Sean.
No, Bruce is like, to the left, Lollyrock. As you're
Don't
trying
forget, like, so Bruce put the immovable rod, attached that via chain to the bird cage that now
That's true.
Lollyrock sits in.
That's true.
So,
I like the fact that the immovable rod can only ever have a chain and birdcage on it too now, for if you use it for anything else.
yeah.
But anyway,
But also Bruce can't see it normally. Like,
that's true. That's true.
He is like, reach for it.
That's
It's
true.
not connected to ground.
But yeah, you see Bruce start to lay out the silver filament of the alarm spell at the openings. Sass, is there anything particular you want to do?
Yeah, can I just listen and try and I'll go to a hole in the wall or what used to be a window and just listen for footsteps.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
Natural 20 for a 24.
Oh baby.
Pew, 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 pew.
Okay, so Sass, you're looking out the window and listening, right? You hear a few things. A lot of wind, obviously, hitting against the house, shutters bouncing. A lot of you hear just sort of creepy wobbling of steel plates in the back, other junk in Septimus's scrapyard in the back. The trees, the wind sort of whistling through the hills up above Septimus's property. Faintly, with a nat 20, you can hear the trickling of the stream, the creek, up in the hills that comes down and splits Septimus's property from the neighbors. You're listening and listening. And you hear probably what you didn't expect to hear. You're listening for footsteps. But you hear a low croaking noise. Almost like if you were to combine a cat's purr with the thrumming croak of a frog. Just sort of a... and it almost has a staccato to it. Almost truthfully, kind of like the sound of the predator sound. That's sort of like rhythmic chirping almost with a croaking.
Oh my god, stop. Oh.
That was horribly not.
That was terrible.
But it almost sounds like it starts low and then kind of speeds up a little bit, almost as if something is croaking in the distance.
Did we ever hear Modron make that noise?
No.
Or Lacuna make that noise?
No. And then you hear something else very faintly. And you only hear it because you got a nat 20. And you are listening to this croaking noise. Chimes? Wind chimes? Something bouncing against each other in the wind. But with almost like a hollow sound of something firm. Not like the metal wind chimes, but the tube, like the wooden tube wind chimes, the bamboo wind chimes. It almost sounds like that. Something rustling.
Bruce,
Yeah.
I hear something I don't understand. Go wake up the others. I think there's something coming.
Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna message everybody from here.
Okay, that works too. Just wake them up.
Sass, do you look out
Bruce?
the window now that you've done listening?
Yeah, now that I hear just this noise, and now I'm like, what the fuck is making that noise? So I'll just kind of try and see if I can see anything.
Yeah, with that nat 20 carried over, you look to the forest line. The Septimus's property is, it's fairly large, but you can see the eastern portion of the Raho Hills are at the edge of his property. Ostensibly, it's where he claimed there was a door that led to another Modron. And it's filled with trees and steep cliffs. It's not a mountain by any chance, but it's tall. There's a creek that runs down it, like I said, that splits his property from Dolvana's. And his field is to the house is on kind of like that eastern portion of the property, with the scrapyard basically on the actual eastern portion, and then wilds. On the western portion is the large field that once was tilled by Septimus. There's an old barn that he doesn't really use much anymore, and an old paddock for animals that he doesn't really use anymore. The field of it is somewhat overgrown. Septimus doesn't really till anymore. He keeps a small portion that he used to till for his own consumption with Sal, and maybe for occasionally paying off the government with crops to get them off his ass. So the fields are filled with tall grass, other than the portion that he usually tilled. They've been overgrown. They're no longer farmland, really. You look out the window, and you see there's two things of note. One, you look up to the hills, and you can see very faintly a blinking red light between the trees. And that catches your eye before you're re-averted to the croaking noise. And you look, and you can look to the field of tall grass. For a moment, as you're peeking out the window, you see the lucid light that bounces off of the eyes of an animal, like a cat at night, in the field. In the dark of that concealment, a creature lurks, or it blinks those eyes. The light vanishes, and it vanishes with that light. Something may have followed you. And then she sneezes.
Oh, I thought I muted. Sorry. Excuse me.
But Septimus and Jacquette, you are awoken by Bruce's message.
Get up.
Am I still awake, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you fell asleep in the last 5 minutes while they were panicking.
Bruce, tell them to come to this room so we can all be together. There's something in the field.
Yeah, get down here.
Why?
Possible danger.
What?
And I think Modron's in the hills.
Why do you say that?
You can point the light out to them when they get down there.
It's still blinking.
Yep.
Jacquet is going to take out his spyglass that he has to get a better look at it.
Okay. Give me a perception check with advantage.
Natural 20 for a 25.
Hell yeah.
Ooh,
Look
nat
at
20s
this.
at late night nat 20s.
Yeah.
You definitely with this can get a better glimpse of the forest line where this is. Modron is at the higher peaks of the cliff, like it would be quite a hike to actually get to him. And you would just see the light is blinking and moving around as if Modron is kind of like not traveling towards you, but almost walking in circles and just moving around, almost like someone looking for something who might be lost.
And so, sorry, orienting from the front of the house, this is up to the left.
So if you're looking out at the front, you'd be looking west where there's all the fields. If you're going out the front door, if you're going out the back door, obviously it's different. But if you're looking out the front door, you would be looking north. So you'd be looking right. The hills are north of the house.
Anyone got a plan?
No.
It looks like Modron's just walking in circles. Is he looking for something? Septimus, what's to the north of your homestead? In the hills.
What would be?
No, there's one thing that stands out that's to the north in the hills.
Is it a doorway of some type?
Okay.
I don't know. Piecing things together from out of context clues.
Shit.
He did tell you all there was a door in the hills.
Shit.
Yeah.
Then didn't say anything else about it. Septimus, what's up there?
Might be looking for. Is that vessel that we found at Stony Heath? The one that I said it looked like. There's one that's here. There's one that's on the property.
Fine. Lead the way. We're headed there.
Wait, no, Fearon. There's something else lurking in the fields. Fucking grass.
Well, we'll deal with it.
But we just set up our defenses here and let it come to us.
Well, if Modron or Lacuna gets to that vessel, it might get bigger, stronger, or have two of itself. Which
No.
I don't think we want to fight two Lacunas.
No, Jaquette's right. We'd have to deal with anything that's in between us and Modron. I think we need to get there now.
And it's at that point you all would just hear in unison the predatory chirping in the fields. Just that low knocking sound, almost like something scraping its claws, fangs, or something across bone. Just
Bjorn, have you heard this before? Do you know what that is?
Bjorn kind of like huddled in the corner, like where he was sleeping, is like not making any noise, but is awake with you all. Bone eater.
And a bone eater is a...
Ugh.
And none of the
Not a
fairy
eater
tale
of bones.
crap. Come on, give us some real monster hunting textbook shit. What are we dealing with? Jacquet says as he takes out his crossbow and like fiddles with it.
You're not entirely wrong about calling it a fairy tale. Unseelie fae. But rabid and hungry. Collects the skulls of its victims and uses them for unseelie magic when stalking its next prey. Flay your body apart. Keep not with the bones. Devour the rest.
Not hearing anything helpful.
Don't get fucking caught.
It's a stalker predator. Figured a man like you would know something about that. Talking big about your life. It's not gonna come tearing through your farm, ripping everything apart to kill you. It's smarter than that.
Right. So if we keep our numbers, we should be fine. Let's go together. Fearn's like trying to get people out the door. Like he's like literally standing in the open hole of the building, like with his weapon drawn, like trying to gesture people, to follow him.
Well, wait a minute. We shouldn't all go out there in the open in the dark, Fjern. That's
Why
a
not?
surefire way of getting picked off one by one.
Well, I should be able to see it.
Not
Sure,
if we're
you
all next to
can.
each other.
Yeah.
What do you guys do, like a rope system, like where we can like all be tied together?
Well, I was thinking of, and Jacquet holds up his bullseye lantern and his horn of silent alarm. A different approach.
All right. Who has which?
What? No. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I can go up to the second floor and he's gonna like light the lantern, and it's it's a nice focused beam of light, like a spotlight. And he goes, I can help spot it using this. And the way that I can get to it, and he's gonna hold up the horn and like mime blowing into it. As long as I know it's out there and it's within 600 feet of me, I can startle it with this. I don't think it's going to be expecting a sudden horn blaring in its head. So once I hear it and I can get this light on it, I think then we'll have a better chance of going out there and attacking it once we know where it is, instead of it knowing where we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to attack anywhere close to the farm, though. It's going to wait till we get in its territory.
Well, it's out in the field right now, which is fairly close to the farm, right? So let's take it out now while it's in a level playing field. And we can use the advantage of the house in the structures to, lure it in or whatever. Or at least, at least this way we can all see where it is the point I'm trying to make.
So where do you want me?
Out there.
Out there? Or...
Out there, yes.
Great. I start heading outside.
Okay, well, maybe you should wait. And Jacquet goes to run up the stairs.
So Jacquet darting up to his position where he can keep an eye out. Fjern has stepped out into the sort of like just like dirt, muddy area. That's sort of like a courtyard before the field. Sass, Bruce, and Septimus. What do you want to do?
I call Sal and tell him and order him to follow as I follow Fjern out, because we got to stick together quickly.
What about Jacquet?
He's gonna be the lookout. But if it's the four of us, we need to stay close.
I can get Jacquet to everybody else. So I'll go up the stairs with him and get some height, and I can see, and if needed, I can magic us to you all.
Okay.
So I'm
So-
going upstairs with Jacquet.
You're gonna go with Jacquet to use your Devil's Sight and potential, I imagine, Dimension Door to get him to the fight if need be. Bruce, are you going with Fjern and Septimus?
Oh yeah, he has to.
Yeah. Especially because if you put your goggles on, you see an evil face. So, so
Wait, do you not have your tremor sense without your goggles, or is it only with your goggles you have your tremor sense?
Right now, it's only with my goggles.
Okay.
So
you
I'd be able to like sense some things because he's had it on so long.
Yeah,
But,
he has an attunement to it where like he can feel like he's gotten used to tremor sense, but he doesn't have the nice 30 field of vision without
okay.
it. Like Bruce arguably could have developed a pretty good like 5 feet of tremor sense off of his just normal sense.
Okay.
But yeah, so Jacquet, you rush up to find a good spot upstairs where there's a window facing out to the west and north. Sass, you're right behind him, right next to him. Is there a range in your double sight, by the way?
I believe it's
120,
120
I think.
feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And the other 3 of you step outside. Theron, I imagine you're pretty confident as you step out.
Yeah. I cast blur on myself and I start walking into the field.
Okay. He casts blur on himself as he's walking to the field. Did the 2 of you do anything? I'll give you kind of one action before we go into kind of more of a turn-based thing, which will obviously not start tonight, but start next session. But you can have one cast real quick or action.
Bruce is definitely casting Sanctuary on himself. And as well as reaching into his bag and taking out one of his traps and just arming it.
Yeah, nice. Anything from you, Septimus?
Guess I'll cast Sanctuary on myself too.
Yeah. By the way, Mike, before next week's session, me and you should talk about your multi-classing to see if we can maybe come to a better option. Especially if we're about to enter potential combat.
Oh, yeah. Is Sal going out with you?
I told him to follow, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gone down plenty of times.
Yeah. So
What's
as the 4 vanguard step out and the 2 watchers step up, that sound of the clicking, chirping echoes again, and it's uncomfortable because it sounds like it's coming from every single direction around you at this point. As fear and you feel the tall grass scratch at your sides and sort of just slide across your plate armor as you're holding your weapon, stepping into the tall grass.
Fion's acting like it's a jungle. He's just like he's just taking long sweeps with his maul and just like plowing down the grass as he goes forward. And he's constantly like looking over his shoulder and is just like on edge.
Excellent. As the camera pans up to see the full moon. But before we end, though, I have one more brief vignette for you all.
Yay.
I'm sorry, I'll take that back. I have 2 vignettes for you.
Oh my.
2?
What is this, Christmas?
Which is Christmas. As Iron and Mana prepare to both face off a cryptid of sorts and potentially a possessed monodrone to protect Septimus's property. Elsewhere, 2 days travel from this farm back in Hyvin. We, at this late hour in the evening, are back in the libraries of Sigil. And he wanders amongst the many stairs and layers of the cavernous library. These are the layers of this library that are beyond what you all see. Beyond just sort of the already confusing amalgams of bookshelves and pillars and walls. This is deep into it where it is beyond the structures of Hyvin, really. Hyvin doesn't go this deep. Hyvin doesn't spread this far to the point when there's fog in the distance. As he's descending these long, long steps. And as he descends, he has just a simple produce flame hovering above his hand, lighting his path. A little candle amongst the foggy dark of this cavern. As he does so, there are sparks of life, one could say. As he steps onto a platform and then down another set of steps, and you can see fluttering up into the air and swirling in a murmur to disappear into the bog are just a swarm of brightly colored, almost airy, staticky, but essentially lightning elemental bugs. Just a swarm of little lightning bugs, but they're infused with elemental magic. Just vanishes. Before he steps down another platform, and you can see there's a little bit of a red-hued light coming from below, as there's just sort of this mucking pool of magma as it becomes cavernous now. Almost as if he's walking into the Underdark, one could presume, through his libraries. And he's within natural stone chambers now, where you can see there's this bubbling magma and then just trickling streams of water down the rock that form these stalactites and stalagmites as he enters a chamber. And as he steps into this chamber, the echoes of the caverns behind him disappear and almost mutes. And it almost looks perfectly still in this chamber, to the point if you were standing in it as a person, it would look peculiar to you because the dust floats slower to the point where it almost becomes a miasma. Whereas you're walking through it, you're displacing still dust in the air. As he steps forward towards a dais in this circular cavernous chamber, where there's rock on top of rock, creating a circular dais with inscriptions across it, and innumerable, hard to discern if you were looking at them as a regular person in here. And as he approaches this dais, from the center of it, where there's a circular geometric shape within the circular geometric shape, it rises, almost like an altar meeting his presence, and sort of becomes this plinth that has a slanted top to it, as if you sliced at an angle through a column. And he enters this timeless dust, essentially, that inundates the air. You see his hand goes out towards the dais. And as his hand reaches through the dust, you can see, or we see, that he has his usual wrappings all over his arms to conceal his, what you always imagined were maybe pocked or scarred flesh. And he has a very typical cloak on, very plain mask. As his hand goes through, you can see the wrappings turn to dust as his hand enters in, and they become part of the inundated dust as it reveals this darkened flesh underneath. It's almost a deep brown, but mostly it's more like a charcoal black that is lit from underneath to turn it into a warm brown. As you can see, just a crack in the flesh, almost like the way dust particulates off of burning wood. And within that, there's almost a moltenness in his skin. But as this wrapping unravels and his skin flakes to earth, he pulls his hand back as the wrappings return to his hand. And then he looks, and as the dais reaches its zenith and the column rises, appearing as if out of the dust, formed by the dust, is a mask, much like the one he wears, but more ornate. It's golden, a very muted gold, as it has it comes up around what would be cheeks of a person, but it goes further, almost creating a triangle, and then wraps in a half circle above. But a part of that half circle are these spikes that come out, 7 of them, almost like a crown. There are cracks in this mask. It looks as if it's made of a golden stone, you might even say, with some light sort of motifs of water-like swirls on the central spike going up to the point. And he stares at this mask as it is beyond his touch within this still dust. And he just gets to his knees and appears to be meditating before it. And he stays there all night, sometimes talking to himself. Occasionally, one of his automatons visits him, but walks away as he doesn't respond to their presence. As he just looks upon this mask. Faceless mask. No eyes. No lips, no nose, no features. The face part is just rounded up to the crown upon it. Till eventually he stands. His hand tremors by the wall of dust for one more moment, but he dares not pass it. As he returns to the innumerable steps back up to the library proper. Elsewhere in Hyvin, boots step through the cobbled streets of Crass Alley. New, fresh boots, recently acquired, walking confidently through the streets. As another man bumps into this person, pukes in the alley. Too much to drink on this night. A long sea salt-caked coat. A hat on his head. As a figure enters the outer business. As he enters in, faces look to his and freeze. He speaks no words to anyone, but these fresh boots ascend the steps to the VIP area. No one stops him. As he bangs on the door, it slides open. The orc bounce on the other side, about to cuss him out, looks as if he's seen a ghost. And opens the door. Boots step confidently across the parlor. A billiards table in the middle. Several lush curtains of fine fabrics in here. Lights of unnatural colors, pinks, purples, blues, dazzling the place. People about who are important so much so as that they have money, but not any voice. But he walks directly across this room as the billiards clack to the right table, where a drow woman sits and looks up at him and smiles. We wondered if you would ever show up, if the rumors were true. Perhaps they're not as strong as they think. As we'll cut from that vignette. And that's our show for tonight.
Ah.
We'll see you all next week as our heroes face off a predator creature and mono drone while things are happening in Hyvin. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We are going to send a raid on over to Just the Human. So we could give them some love from us in Paradise. And we will see you all next week. Thanks for joining us. Good night. Or bye, wherever you are.
Thank you.
Till next time.